What up out there, Junkies? This is Kenshiro. We're back with another great episode of Culture Junkies Live. Today we're going to be talking about the epic upcoming summer movie schedule, but also we're going to be talking about the Avengers Endgame spoilers in full tilt. Like, the gloves are off, the spoiler ban is over, so we're going to give you our full-on thoughts and, you know, all the reactions and where exactly Marvel's going to go from here, on top of a couple of things like the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, the Brightburn trailer, all that kind of really good stuff. It's going to be a fun show, and we're glad to have you with us. But first on the show with me today is Mr. GQ, my partner in crime from Free Comic Book Day. How you doing today, man?
Not too bad. I decided to throw some Tron glasses on since you decided to put us in Tron world with that intro.
Hey, it's not bad. It's not bad, right? Bionic Commando. You can't go wrong with that.
Uh-huh.
That's true. That's true. Great Dadakuji is chilling over there, playing some video games. What's up, man?
Hey, everybody! Just playing this free game that so I don't know how I found it, but it's a free game on the PC side called The Curse of the Isios. If you like Castlevania, you probably like this game.
Okay. Fallen Marvel is also on the show. What's up, bro?
What is up? Greetings and salutations, everybody. We getting into some more Marvel goodness today, so
yes,
I'm here
will
for
be
it.
some Marvel goodness. You're absolutely right. It's going to be some Marvel goodness. Matthew Peace Hartland, what's up? How you doing over there on Facebook? Glad you can join the show. Everybody else, get in here, and so we can start to chat it up. First and foremost, let me turn some of this music down because we need to have a little moment of silence for the recently dearly departed. Like last week, we lost a couple of legends in Hollywood. First, we lost Peter Mayhew last week, who was the original Chewbacca in the Star Wars trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy. Passed away at I forget exactly what his age was. I think it was what he's like
77. 60s? I think
was
it was
77 or something like that.
I believe that's what I remember seeing. 77.
Oh, okay, 77. Yeah, you know, so he passed away. We got to meet him. He was at our booth at Fantasticon back in Chicago when we were at Wizard World. Isn't that right, GQ? Right?
Yeah, he did stop by and sign some autographs and whatnot, and obviously it's cool to meet him, sit down, talk with him.
Yeah.
Obviously a very tall gentleman, very cool guy, very cool.
He was a very cool.
74.
Dude.
Sorry.
It's like, dude, because like remember when we went to Benihana that one time? It was him and Lou Ferrigno was with us, and it was kind of a unique experience.
No, that wasn't. He didn't go to Benihana with us.
I swear he went to Benihana with us. No,
we had the Incredible Hulk and Darth Vader at our table. At
Benihana. That's right, David Prowse.
Prowse.
Yeah, yep. David Prowse was with us, right? Okay.
Yep. And hey, I was eating green tea ice cream. I don't know what the hell was on.
Right, I wasn't trying that. I was like, green tea ice cream.
I was enjoying that.
Green tea ice cream is
green
delicious.
Tea ice cream. What?
Yes,
get out of here!
Thank you very much, Dr. Coot. See, a man of taste and
culture.
Class.
Culture.
I have yet to try that flavor, but I'm willing to try it once.
Cultured individuals.
I wasn't passing up the opportunity to eat green tea ice cream with Darth Vader and the Incredible Hulk. Are you crazy?
Right.
That was awesome. That was all sorts of awesome.
Yeah. But also we lost Boys in the Hood director John Singleton last week. Tragically, he suffered a stroke, fell into a coma, and just never recovered. Bad. I think he was only. I think he was like
in his 50s.
No, was it in his 50s or was it 60s?
Yeah,
I forget.
He was still in his 50s, I think. He might have been like
mid to late 50s.
Yeah, mid to late 50s. Yeah, I mean, John Singleton did the original, not the original. He did the Shaft remake. Obviously, we're going to be talking about summer movies, and sequel to that Shaft remake is one of those. But I always remember him directing Samuel L. Jackson in that remake back in the early 2000s. It was Samuel L. Jackson and Busta Rhymes. I have great affinity for that movie because it was very well acted. I mean, you had Samuel, you had Christian Bale, Busta Rhymes. You had Jeffrey. What's his name? Jeffrey
Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. Yep, Jeffrey Wright from Westworld and even from the Hunger Games and even from Casino Royale and the later Bond movies. Who was playing Felix Leiter. It was just a really good movie. John Singleton was a very talented director. Obviously, we know how much Boys in the Hood resonated with a lot of young black men and just kind of really shed a light. And basically, I think Cube credits him with kind of molding him into being, kind of like seeing another way out of the hood. Instead of just being a rapper, he wanted to be an actor after he got around John Singleton and doing Boys in the Hood. So he was transformative and a visionary director, and we're gonna miss him a lot. Yeah. So
Yeah. Happy trails, John.
yeah. So
Hey, what's up to Aaron over in the Facebook chat? He sat down with us on the Free Comic Book Day as well.
he sure did. It was nice catching up with him. We hadn't seen him since he was a little young whippersnapper. He was like 19 when last time we saw him, I think. And you know, now he's all grown, married with a child. Oh man, something else. You only as young as you feel. He doesn't make me feel old, but man, he was pushing it. I remember he was so young and so opinionated. Him and his love for Yoruidan Samurai Troopers, aka Ronin Warriors. I'll never forget that. He was collecting all the DVDs from back in the day, like all the foreign ones. He was obsessed with that show, dude. Look, he even said it. He was like, "Yup." He was obsessed with that show. But no, man. I mean, it was good catching up with Aaron and seeing him in person. It was pretty nice. Michael Raven Charms is like, what do we talk about today? Well, today we're going to talk about summer movies, but first we're going to talk about the Avengers Endgame and all the spoilers the gloves are off. We can just really start talking about it. So without further ado,
major spoiler alert. So
major spoiler alert. So,
Major.
One of the 5 people in the world that ain't seen the movie yet.
yeah, man. I mean, how? Look, I know people wanted to wait till the second week in a row, you know, to before they really got to see the movie. But if you ain't seen it by now, man, come on. Like, really?
I mean, it's still a couple of people saying they wait until Sunday and Monday to see it. So,
man,
coworker of mine.
You wait till three weeks later, man. I could never wait that long to see that movie. You got to make time. Yeah, LGZ is coming. Sharita Jackson, she will be here.
She just popped up. She over there licking her lips on them tacos she ordered.
The tacos are good. Sorry.
Oh man. Okay. Taco Tuesday was yesterday, girl. Get with the program. Anyway. So the Endgame spoiler ban has finally been lifted. So let's talk about it. What questions did the movies leave us with? What were some of your favorite scenes? You know, gloves are off. Let's get to it. Let's let ladies go first. LGZ, what was your biggest takeaway from the film, and what questions did it leave you with?
Okay, so I watched it. I think the first weekend I watched it 4 times, and then I went back second week and I watched it 3 more times, and then I'm supposed to be watching it again this weekend.
Hey, there you go.
Right.
Hold on. Real quick.
Yes.
7 times. About to be 8.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What happened to the DC fan they used to be?
I'm still a DC fan, but I mean, everybody has wanted to go see this movie. And so I've been going just all these times with different friends, hanging out and just hanging and going.
That sounds like that's a movie that you enjoying, because ain't no way in the world if it was a movie I just wasn't particularly interested in. I don't give a damn who's going. I
saw Shazam like 4 times too when it came out. So I mean,
well, you did better than me. I only saw that 1 time, and I'm actually a big fan of Shazam / Captain Marvel. I only saw that once. Once was kind of enough.
I saw that like 4 times. So
/Shazam, but I'll let her continue.
Okay, this guy.
And so I will say this. I cried like the last 30 to 45 minutes of the movie, and like it was, I don't know, I was just like super emotional, especially after Thanos hit the building where they all were right after Hulk did his snap, and I was just like, okay, and then like as soon as he hit the building, I was just like thinking, oh my God, they're all gonna die. Like I knew the good guys are gonna win, of course, right? But I was just like, I just got emotional at that point, and it just kind of went downhill from there. Biggest crying point is when Black Panther came through the little thingy. I was like, Black Panther, I don't know. It was just like, I was excited. I was just crying, emotional. And
of course, she was screaming out Wakanda Forever in the theater, and you know she was.
Pretty much. She
was like, Wakanda Forever! Wakanda Forever!
At least the theater was tight.
I know she was.
And then I was like super crying at the very end when Tony Stark died. Like it was, and I was crying at the little funeral, and I was just like, I don't know, I was just like an emotional wreck by the time that movie ended. But leading up to that point, saying it was a pretty good movie. I loved how they were able to go back in time and kind of show the Avengers assemble from the first one, and still, even though nobody usually likes Thor: The Dark World, I actually did because Frigga is so badass. So I was like really happy to see her come back through. Not so happy to see Natalie Portman. I don't know if because I'm trying to think. I've watched The Dark World like I don't know how many times, and I was like, was she actually there, or was she?
She was.
That, like,
she was. She didn't film.
Like,
she didn't film any scenes for Endgame. So like everything they
Okay.
did was either from outtakes, alternate angles, or they just did some really creative wizardry with the footage.
Okay.
Because she wasn't.
you
a
only
part
I
of
was
it.
not looking for Natalie Portman. Let me be
Well, no.
clear. I was
Basically
like,
what it
why
was-
is she here?
Basically, what it was, you only saw her twice. You saw her body double in that one shot in the hallway by the door. Then, like Kenshiro said, it was an alternate angle, and they just inserted Rocket in the into this, the angle and cutaway. So
Okay.
it was masterful use of, hey, footage is already here. We ain't paying her. So
Yep. We ain't got to pay her nothing.
Now, granted, they probably paid her something because they did credit her, but you
True.
didn't have to get her.
Yeah.
They
her
did get
feet paid.
credited. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like super awesome. I was like watching it, and like I said, leading up to that, they had some really good scenes. I will say though, it went a little slow for me a little bit around the time when they went to go look for Thor, and he was in the fat suit or whatever. It kind of went a little slow right in between that little part.
Yeah, but
So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, but either way, it was a great movie. I'm very excited. I'm glad it ended off in the note. I'm really curious how they go forward with this. Who's going to be the next Iron Man? Is it going to be the Black Girl, or
There
is
won't
it
be
going to
one.
be Shuri?
Well,
Huh?
there's not going to be an Iron Man. I don't even know if they're going to do Riri Williams. I think they just might just push other heroes into the forefront.
Okay.
Which
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, so many questions you want to know, like what's going to happen. Are they still going to be helping? Cap's no longer there. Are they going to show a movie with? I need them to show a movie with Sam, and as Captain America. I need something more. So I'm hoping that in the future they have some new movies and that we kind of like answer those questions, because at every movie you're like, what happens next? And I'm that person. So I'm really looking forward to see like what happens after this.
Right.
But overall, great movie.
So they're gonna catch you on July 2nd right away, huh?
Right. She's gonna go see Far From Home now.
Yes, somebody's already invited me out, so I already have a ticket already.
There you go. There you go. All right. So a lot of people, let's jump into some of the controversies, because a lot of people are really having issues with two characters, principally. Actually, no. Let's make it three characters. I saw a post earlier about people complaining about Black Widow, but I also saw people mostly were complaining about the Hulk, and they were complaining about Thor. Now, for a lot of people had problems with Thor because of the way he was depicted. Him being so emotional, so becoming getting overweight and letting himself go and all this. They basically calling him a bitch. But to me, Thor was probably the most realistic depiction of how someone who has been coping with an enormous amount of grief. Like let's think about it now, right? Since Thor: The Dark World, in a span of maybe a couple of years and stuff like that, he's lost his mother, he's lost his father, he's lost his best friend Heimdall. He's seen his other closest friends, the Warriors 3, get murdered by Hela. He lost his entire realm of Asgard. He witnessed right in front of him half of his Asgardian brethren get slaughtered by Thanos on the ship. He saw the Hulk get basically beat down. Then he saw Hela destroy his hammer, so Mjolnir was gone too. I mean, this dude was dealing
And
with
not
a
only
lot.
that, Not only that, Thanos broke Loki's neck like right in front of him.
Right in front of him,
dude.
dude.
Carried his lifeless body over to him, looked
And
him right in the eye, and just dropped him right in front of him.
Just dropped him down, dude.
So,
like come on.
Let's be real. That's what I'm. And again, I think that's. And Dido and I were talking about this the other day, actually. I think that's one of the issues I have with a lot of these quote unquote fans and comic book readers and comic book reading fans. Y'all act as if you haven't seen stuff like this before, and then when they show it in the movies and actually flesh it out and do it the way it's supposed to be done, then all of a sudden it's a problem, or the character ain't like that. It's like, okay, can't have it both ways.
Right.
I agree, and like I remember just leading up before the movie came out, everybody was talking about they, wanted to see Hulk get back on Thanos and all that. The other,
oh my god!
I mean, look, it would have been. Look, I'm not saying it would have been. It wouldn't have been nice to see him try to get some more shots in or whatever. But again, this is not the Hulk. This is not the type of Hulk that they were telling the story to. This is someone who himself has gone through a lot of crap since Age of Ultron and had his own way of dealing with it. And they even explained it in the movie that, Hulk lost, Banner lost, then everyone lost. How do you deal with something like that, especially when you have two different consciousness dealing with that kind of loss?
I tell you how you deal with it. You do nothing. You just go out and you smash. You just no nothing, no character development. He just go out there and smash because that's what the Hulk does. He has no emotions. He doesn't even talk. Professor Hulk, what are you talking about that? He just goes out and smash. It's like that's what.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, Albert has something in the chat about Hulk, but hang on. This is hilarious. He said, Thor is awesome. I can now say I have the body of a god. There you go.
Yeah,
but realistically, here's...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, here's a lot of people saying Hulk ticked me off because all that struggle from Infinity War, no scene of resolution. You just hear us talking Hulk. But here's the deal, right? Y'all wanted to see the Hulk throw down with Thanos, right? You want to see, Hulk smash and all this other kind of stuff. Dude, y'all don't understand. Thanos would have whooped his ass regardless. Dude, did you see him? He took on Cap, Iron Man, Thor, and Cap with Mjolnir and took them all down. You think the Hulk's going to do something? And this was a younger Thanos that really didn't give a fuck. He did not.
Yes, this was much less compassionate Thanos.
Right.
There was no compassion in him yet at this point.
Exactly. Dude had. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, because when he whipped the Hulk's butt in Infinity War, it wasn't really just. It was kind of like, I'm going to show you you're not nearly as good or as strong or as powerful as you think you are, and he just decimated him. 2014 Thanos, War Thanos, who came in the first time you saw him wiping blood off of his blade, Hulk would have got destroyed. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely.
It's not Savage Hulk. It's Professor Hulk, who is not he can fight, but he's not a fighter like that. It's like he doesn't have, again, now it goes back to the Superman thing. If Superman, actually took some martial arts classes, he'd be amazingly good as a fighter. But Superman is a brawler. Hulk is a brawler. So so Professor Hulk took some lessons from Iron Fist or something, and maybe could put some work in. But no, Thanos would have destroyed him for that rematch. Just let all of y'all know that.
Right. He would have got absolutely wrecked. And this is a Thanos, right, that so much didn't give a fuck. Even when he was getting wrecked by Mjolnir by Cap, he overhand, came down on Cap's shield, broke that boy. The Hulk couldn't break his shield. Thanos did it in one blow.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Hulk, he could have came out there and he could have whooped his ass. And
yeah. But he's the Hulk. He's the Hulk. No, dude.
All I'm getting.
Right. He's the Hulk. He's the Hulk. Dude, it's Thanos. It's Thanos, dude.
All your worlds belong to me.
Exactly.
That's how it is in the comic book.
Thanos, dude.
And I don't even read a comic book like
right,
that, and I
dude,
know more
Thanos
than
is
that.
not to be fucked with, dude.
Where the hell are
I'm
these freaking
Wait a
telling
minute.
you.
Wait a minute.
Where the
Hold
hell?
on. It wasn't. He didn't do it with his hand. He did it with that his
sword? His sword, okay. And
yeah.
and
It wasn't like
I mean, he
the
still
force.
broke it. That's the
The
thing.
force that he put behind that blow is what broke the shield.
I'm sure, but I was kind of confused because I was like, "Isn't this made out of
vibranium?
Yeah, and I was like, I thought it was never breakable. I was like, what he got on his sword? They need to get that shit.
Okay, hold on. Here's the thing.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
It's the strongest metal on Earth.
Yeah.
That's
We
Earth.
don't know what it is.
We don't know what the hell Thanos' sword is made out of because that bad boy was sweet. And here's
I
the
want to
thing.
know though.
Scarlet Witch was strong enough to break that, so who knows?
Right.
Yes, she was.
Yes, she was.
And-
yes, she was.
and-
She showed out. She showed out.
Yes,
And
the thing is-
I love seeing
listen.
that. That was great.
Listen, somebody already mentioned it, I think, like earlier today on Facebook, but the fact that it was glorious how like both Wanda and Carol showed up just wanting all the smoke, all of it. And it was just like, yes, let's go.
Right.
And it's just the fact that like Wanda came in, like the fact that Thanos had to literally direct like literally all the cannons from his ship just to get that to get that hold broken.
Yep.
Okay.
Man was like, rain fire, but fire, our troops. I don't care.
I don't care. It's like he was in there like dog, don't you know this? It's like he was like when he was being held by Wanda, he was like, man, if you don't fire this shit, this bitch about to kill me. Would you
Because the
stop?
game would have been over in a heartbeat had she stopped taking so much time. She should have.
Right.
Maybe her powers got to warm up or something like that, where they have to build up to a certain thing. They can't just. It's not instantaneous or something. Because you think the amount of anger that she had, because though it was 5 years for everybody, it was probably 5 seconds for her. So she was still having all that freaking anger.
Still fresh.
Been just like
It was very fresh.
But the thing, I think the
fresh.
thing is though, because you notice what they were showing is he was struggling against it. I mean, everybody she's ever grabbed up like that always struggles against it, and it was starting to break his armor apart. It was almost like it was creeping up his armor, just trying to get to his body. Because
get to his neck. Thanos
is more durable than everybody. That's just a big part of it. But and so I think that's really what it was. She had to break through that armor, and then it was starting to like he was starting to feel it like, oh hell no.
Right.
Rain fire, get this girl off of me. This is crazy.
This bitch about to kill me. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah. Like me personally, I just like that to me, like at that point in that battle scene, like so much had already like taken place. It was almost hard to take a lot of it in. It was like I kind of had I had somewhat of a delayed response like when Wanda did that, but like at the same time just thinking like, oh shit. And just so much just happened in that last battle. It just made it so glorious, and it's like there's nothing about this movie that I would have changed at all. Like there's absolutely nothing I would have changed. Like just not, I mean, I kind of thought it was funny how I kind of low-key think this was kind of like a nod at the fans, like when Doctor Strange popped up and he asked Wong, was this everybody? And he was like, were you expecting more? Like, I think that kind of low key was kind of like a nod at the fans, how they were kind of like expecting like, maybe Fantastic Four X-Men characters to pop up, which was obviously a long stretch, but like, it's just like little things like that. And then of course, just like even like for me, like even like a lot of people will say that like the movie was slow at the beginning, and like I mean I guess for some people like I get the gripe, but for me, because I understood why it was slow, like it wasn't even a problem for me because we had to see how everybody was coping after everything fell apart. So
wait, hold on. Wait, what did you say? I'm not quite understanding. We had to see how people were coping to tell a story. So wait, I'm a little confused there.
Yes, we
what are you confused about?
We needed a
story.
We needed a significant amount of time to flesh out where the characters were at personally after they lost everything.
No, you can't do
yeah.
that. It should have just came out and been action for 3 hours.
Oh man, yeah.
3 hours. Should have came in and should have fought Thanos, and Thor should have been fighting for 45 minutes, and then Captain America should have popped in there at 15 minutes, and then Iron Man should have been like, "Hey, I think I'm going to fight too," and then end of the movie. Right?
Well, again, there's a reason this movie made over $2 billion in less than 2 weeks.
All right.
I want to understand. I need to understand what these people were trying to. Because
again, everybody's trying to play armchair director,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like,
They are.
They
are, without question.
Slight correction, GQ. It $1 billion in 1 weekend and $2 billion in 1 week. It was 1 week.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like it's. Again, it's not a knock on people that make films, and that's fine if you make films. But at this level of the game, the stuff that you guys are talking about is not going to work. You could try it. You could do whatever you want. You could think that, add this, add that. There's a reason that this movie is making what it's making, because it has a good balance of all of the various elements. Put more Hulk in it. Why? Hulk did something that nobody else could do. He did the first original snap and survived. Nobody else would have been able to do that. Tony died obviously from the snap when he got rid of Thanos' army. So let's just take some time to like actually step back from the they should have did this or they should have did that. Which when it's like, okay, so let's say you add in some of these various things that people want to add in. One of the debates was add in more people mourning and showing the more effects of what was going on Earth. Dude, they showed San Francisco with a mass, basically gravesite or memorial. Thousands of people vanished, and they showed New York, the city that never sleeps, dead as hell. That's all I need to know. That this is pretty devastating. That and again, that one kid that Ant-Man ran into couldn't even tell him what had happened. He was so hurt by it. He was just devastated. Like, I can't even talk about it.
Like, did you see the neighborhoods? The houses were abandoned, boarded up. Yards were all in disarray. Garbage was piled up everywhere.
Right.
Like, come on.
If you think about it, though, the whole meeting that Captain America was in charge of, when I forget which Russo brother was that character, but he, for the most part, was supposed to be representing what Earth was. That guy, him speaking, was saying this is how he was going, but that was all you needed to see for what the rest of the world is going through. You didn't need everybody. What are you going to do? Have a whole entire hour of characters who you don't even know talking about how the Earth is going?
Exactly. It's just so people can complain about that part too.
Yeah, but I think it was good because in that particular scene, that was I think that was Joe Russo that was talking about his date, and then the other guy,
Jim Starlin.
He had the glasses with I think he was like the Thanos co-creator.
Detroit native, Jim Starlin.
A Detroit native.
Jim Starlin, the creator of Thanos.
All right.
So that was I thought that was pretty cool. Although it was interesting because they were like, this is the first openly gay character in the MCU. Was that 5 second or that 20 seconds that Joe Russo spoke? I was like, what?
Okay, and
they're trying to make like a big thing out of something so small.
Yeah.
There's a website that's continuously doing that stuff like that, and I keep getting. I don't know. I'm not gonna put that website out on blast like that because one day we might be able to do something great with them, maybe. But still, I keep seeing articles that keep seeing like they're pushing some kind of agenda. I don't know if the person writing it is trying to push that agenda, or they're just seeing stuff and assuming that agenda is trying to be pushed and they're reporting on it. But I just consistently keep seeing these articles.
Yeah,
and
like they were fat shaming Thor.
Yeah. And I'm like,
okay.
Here's the thing about both of those things. Fat shaming, first of all, Thor was awesome, even though he was bigger. So that's something that for quote unquote fat people to aspire to. Because there you go. That's not fat shaming. That's showing like, hey, you can still be fat and still get work in.
Right.
The second thing, as far as the gay agenda, like, okay, the whole gay agenda thing has always been weird to me because it's like it's arrogant to think that gay people are trying to make you gay. Like gay people like other gay people. So
Yeah, nobody can make you gay, dude. That's
right.
it's just not gonna happen.
Just leave it at that.
It's just not gonna happen, man.
It's like whoever you banging, hey, that's who you banging.
Right.
So it had nothing to do with me. So
Exactly.
I don't really get that one.
Exactly.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
It
Also-
very much is.
Can I say this out loud? I want to switch gears. Can I just say this out loud? Two things.
Mhm.
How awesome was it that Cap was able to wield Mjolnir, number one?
Oh, goodness.
God.
That was the hypest moment in the movie, man. Other than when he said Avengers Assemble. Other than when he said Avengers Assemble, that was the hypest moment in the movie.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good.
For all those
And also,
watching,
I
it was
hated
cool.
Captain Marvel's haircut.
Yeah, I thought it was nice. I liked it.
But that's
I thought that shit was trash.
no, but that's her hair from the comics. So, I mean, it's
we're not
accurate.
going to do that now.
Well, no, I
Wait a minute. You thought it was
I
trash?
didn't like it.
You didn't like her haircut?
I didn't like
Why?
her haircut.
That's fine.
I didn't like it.
What about? And I didn't know this because I don't read the comic books, but I found this out recently that Rhodey and Captain Marvel are a couple apparently.
They had
kinda-
been, yes. They were, yes.
Yeah.
That was a big
had
thing.
been, were been. In the movies, I don't know if they were actually hinting at something was going on.
No, she wasn't.
It was a nod. I think some people were trying to make it a thing.
It really wasn't. She wasn't.
I don't know.
long enough to
When they were
really-
talking to Black
Yeah.
Widow, and she was like, good luck. Like that was weird because she, had, particularly from our perspective, had only met him not too long ago because she had just got there, right?
Well, yeah, but I think like when they were at that point, it was like what 5 years later.
Yeah, it's 5 years later.
5 years
So
later.
Obviously, by
Yeah,
then
so we
they
don't
had probably
know-
known each other a little bit more.
We
but-
don't know, right?
Hey.
We don't know what might have happened.
We
And she
don't.
spends a lot of time. Obviously, she spends a lot of time off Earth. And
Yep.
dude, whatever communications relay they got, that shit is awesome because she must be star systems away, and she's coming in crystal clear in Avengers headquarters.
Okay.
Movie magic.
I have.
Well,
no,
it's not just
even
movie
movies,
magic,
it's
dude.
alien
They got
tech.
freaking spaceships that can travel light speed, and
Right.
I'm pretty sure that Rocket being on Earth shared some kind of technology that they probably didn't have. Speaking of that, one of the complaints that I heard of freaking people was saying was like, "How the heck did Captain Marvel find them out in space? How didn't she know where to look?" And I was like, "They were on Rocket's ship. I'm pretty sure he had some kind of tracking device."
Well, not only that,
And they also forget that the scene they showed at the end of Captain Marvel takes place right before the plot of Endgame.
Exactly. Everybody, for whatever reason, because they didn't see it in the movie, they keeps forgetting about that scene. It's like she went to Earth first.
Yep.
Where's Fury? Hey, by the way, here's what went down. We got a guy out there, like you said, Rocket could have easily gave her a tracker for her ship, for his ship rather. What's up to Kurtrell in the chat, and also Big Kahuna's joining. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
what's
Big
up, guys?
Kahuna. What's
Glad
up,
you
man?
are doing great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my thing, and this is one that I wanted to address. Is some people were saying that Cap and Iron Man didn't have any character development.
Oh, please talk about that. Please talk about that.
Now, to me, that is a major stretch. Either that, or you don't understand how movies are made or how script writing and stories work. Because if you look at Tony and Iron Man 1, self-centered, selfish, playboy, weapons manufacturer, didn't really give a damn as long as he made his money. Jericho missiles and all that other crazy stuff. His character journey started in that film. Now, granted, he didn't, he at the end of the movie, he accepted, hey, my weapons are killing people. I need to destroy them, do something about it, shut it down, do whatever. And I am Iron Man. And that was his first step into, again, like Nick Fury said, a larger universe. That was also his first step into being a better man than he had been in the past. Move into Iron Man 2, continuing that journey. He was dying, blah, blah, blah. But, with the help of his father, essentially, he made a new element, new way to power his suits, keep it pushing. Avengers, he made the sacrifice play, did not have to go into that wormhole, but he did. And he's, ended up surviving. Iron Man 3, PTSD, we all know the story. I don't care how much people dislike that movie. That was a very good character arc for Tony Stark, because it showed his whole motivation of Age of Ultron of, dude, we got to protect the entire world because there's stuff coming that we can't handle.
Right.
So, and then you move forward to this one. And people were, at least the person that was had brought it up was saying that Tony, was still selfish because like he had his daughter, and he didn't want to help them with the time travel thing. And it's like, okay, but let's just put that in the real perspective of anybody that's a father. If you have a daughter or a son or whatever in your family life, yes, you might be one of the smartest people on earth and be able to figure out time travel. But isn't there always going to be that doubt in your mind that doing so is going to erase what you have right now? That's not necessarily self-centered. That's, hey, I would not like to lose, I don't want to suddenly just, evaporate my family here. That's not necessarily a selfish thing. That's actually a pretty reasonable thing for a person to do. And again, he figured it out, changed his mind, basically, apologized as best as a Tony Stark is going to apologize to Cap. They made up, had their resolution. And then you move to, he actually sacrifices because again, he could have tried to find another way to get it to work. But he even took that quick visual cue from Doctor Strange. It was like, dude, this is the one way to do it. You got to die. And he made the snap. And again, the Russos, or at least the editor for the film, was the one that brought up it should be "I am Iron Man" as the last thing he says, because at first he just did the snap and didn't say anything. That was the way it was originally written. And so for them to do it the way they did and bookend Tony's journey, it's like, dude, there's a ton of character development in there. And if you can't see that, then you're not trying to see it, because you feel that Tony's an asshole and you just never liked the character. But if you can't see that character development from 2008 to now, find something else to do.
And on top of that, just to piggyback off that, Pepper also showed some character development too, because up to this point, she wanted him to stop being Iron Man.
Exactly.
What did she do in Endgame? She convinced him to help them.
Yep.
She convinced him to be Iron Man again.
Because she knew it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
No character development though. Okay.
So Hand of Omega, somebody he's driving home, but he thinks that he can point out all the major plot holes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Plot holes are all been freaking. I have to show him the freaking video that I saw, because all the plot holes that people keep talking about, they don't
exist.
Not plot holes.
Right, they're not plot holes.
I
think the only plot holes that exist are the ones that are from people that don't want to accept what it is. Like, another thing people are mad
the
about.
Ones that watch Back to the Future and they think that's
like the whole time thing,
travel.
right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the time travel aspect, because a lot of people are really upset about how time travel works. And the Hulk was very explicit in explaining how this shit works. Yep. If you go into the past,
that's your new future.
That's your new present. And going into the future is only, you cannot change the future by altering your past, because that stuff has already happened. It's always going to happen.
It's in your past.
It's in your past.
Your future or your present, what used to be, is now your past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's not Back to the Future. They explain it's not Back to the Future.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
Right. All right. And this is another thing a lot of folks got confused too. And Q's in the chat, he just asked this question. So let's go ahead and answer this. Folks are confused about how you still have certain people, namely Peter Parker and his friends, still in high school after the snap. Well, the logical thing is that Peter, along with Ned, along with Flash, along with MJ, and a few others, obviously were victims of the decimation. Whoever was still left behind still finished school and moved on. They're still 15, 16 years old when they come back 5 years later.
It was only 5 seconds for them.
So it was literally just moments away. So obviously with them coming back, they're still 15 and 16 in body and mind. They still have school to finish. It's going to be weird because it's been 5 years, but hey, life still goes on one way or another.
I look at it this way. I think, Far From Home is going to answer that. Yeah, go ahead.
It is, because the thing is, what a lot of folks kind of forget was, the meeting that he had, like when Peter saw Ned at the end of the movie, and Ned was basically in tears. He knew what happened. By that point, it's like, dude, like, we were gone. Like literally, we were gone for like you come back 5 years later, everything's different. Like your parents probably aged 5 years. Everybody else you probably knew grew up and moved on. And so then it's like, but hey, we're still here. It's just like we made it back somehow. Like I felt that when I saw that in the theater, like when they did the little handshake and like hugged each other and stuff. It was like, dude, I felt that. It's like guys, like sometimes you don't have to overthink it. It's very simple.
So here's another thing I want to bring up.
Real quick, there are some things that if you want to nitpick, you can say that there could be problems with everybody coming back 5 years later. It has nothing to do with age and why they're still in high school because, they didn't age. But it could be like, for example, my house right here. Me and my wife, we just happened to both disappear because we were part of that 50%. This house is probably going to either A, be abandoned, be resold to somebody because the people around is like, oh, it's just a house. So what happens if we were in the house when we were snapped and we just come back? It's our house or is it their house? Because 5 years ago. So there can be problems, which they're probably not going to talk about, probably not going to friggin' address, like all the kids that were orphaned. When the parents come back, are they going to find their kids? Shit like that. They're not going to talk. Those are nitpicking things that could be a problem.
Yeah, and that's like things that like are gonna happen or be taken care of off screen that's not necessarily relevant to the plot.
Exactly.
The whole point of the plot was to restore what was taken. That's it. That's the plot.
Here's the thing, though, and this might be their chance to bring in some of the TV show heroes. They can get Matt Murdock to write up the Thanos records that answers all those questions about legality. So if your house is suddenly abandoned, but you were snapped away, then you get your house back free and clear, and the other people that moved in, the other people that moved in can get some type of restitution or something from the government.
So here's something I want to bring up, okay? And a lot of people are in the chat talking about it. Even our boy Dave, the curmudgeon, is in the chat talking about, Hulk was bad, Hulk was this, Hulk was that. Oh, I'm mad that Hulk didn't recover from the snap. First of all, hold the fuck up, okay? These are the goddamn Infinity Stones, right? Thanos used the stones in the first snap. He was scarred. He didn't heal from that. This is a man that took Stormbreaker on full front and healed from that in a few days, right? Right? But those burns, those scars from the Infinity Gauntlet were still there. Like his arm, the gauntlet was melted to his arm. He took the stones out, but the gauntlet was still remained. It was melted to his arm.
That was after the second snap, though.
Yeah, that was after the second snap. But this is what I'm trying to say. So people are all like, "Oh, Hulk should have healed from that," and all this other kind of stuff. Wait, stop.
Not from
Thanos is more right, dog. Thanos is more powerful than the Hulk. What makes you think Hulk should be immune to that? I mean, the whole purpose.
No matter he gets, the stronger he gets.
Here's the whole thing with that, right? The whole purpose of the movie was trying to show if you're going to use the stones for something of that magnitude, it's going to exact a toll. There's consequences for what you choose to do. And the consequence is you lose. Hulk was lucky to survive. It killed Tony. It killed Tony straight up. Thanos even said in the beginning of the movie, he's like, dude, this almost killed me using these stones like that. So if it didn't kill the Hulk, it did kill Tony. What makes you think Hulk should just be able to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna shrug this off. Yeah, I use the stones. I had no big deal. I'm just gonna go right on and I'm just gonna be like smashing it up. I'm gonna be doing no, dude, stop.
You know what though? You know what? I think the reason why Hulk had a different result was because I think they were talking about it was gamma radiation that were coming off the stones. So of course it would affect him. It wouldn't be as bad to him as it was to Tony. And they said that in the movie. So if nobody caught that, like, why would y'all think that he would have healed that quickly anyway? Like,
but it was like more than gamma radiation.
And here's the whole thing. Like Dave's saying it right there. Dave's saying it in the chat right there. He's like, because he has a healing factor. Dude, it's the Infinity Stones. They're greater than his
The
healing
Infinity Stones
factor.
don't give a damn about your healing factor. Like the thing is,
It's the Infinity Stones.
It has the power to nullify any and all things. Like
Yeah,
your
dude,
healing factor
I
doesn't
want to
mean
hear
shit.
that noise about,
Infinity
oh, he has a
Stones.
healing factor. I want to hear it. Thanos has a good healing factor too. He didn't heal from that. I don't want to hear it.
But what's so funny about it is the person most known for healing factor, of course, is Wolverine. Obviously,
Right.
Deadpool has a healing factor too.
Right.
But healing factor can be overwhelmed.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's just stop acting like that's not a thing in comics.
Right.
Oh, but so again, it goes back to the comic fans want to have their problems with it because they're comic fans and they don't know
Right.
how to understand that, hey, the movies are going to be inspired by but not married to the comics. There are going
Exactly.
to be
Please
things-
stop thinking that this is the
Right.
comic book world. It's not. Stop trying to do that. It's not going to do that. It's just stop.
Yep, and Albert is 100% right there. The gauntlet that Tony essentially used wasn't a gauntlet. It wasn't designed for that purpose. The nano
Right.
machines just
Yep.
the nano machines put the stones in place and he did the snap, but it was not designed to redirect all of that.
All that
That
energy.
was a last ditch effort. He got all the kickback from it, and he
Okay,
didn't survive.
Dave. Okay, so I'm sorry. So either Dave's like just willfully ignorant, which we can accuse him of, seeing as how he is Dave. But he says, okay, so days later at the funeral, it still hadn't healed. Some dude, it's the Infinity Gauntlet. That stuff is permanent. It's not going to heal. It's like having 3rd-degree burns. Right. Your arm doesn't heal from that. You don't like regain the use of your arm. It's dead. The arm is dead. You're not going to get it back. Period.
These stones, when snapped, put out so much energy that you can detect it on another side of the galaxy.
Exactly.
And he
Exactly.
absorbed all of that.
Right.
So you're trying to tell me that when he snapped his fingers, that
Right.
all of that energy that could probably, the energy brings life, takes life.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Come on now. Come on now.
It's just like, I don't understand
Come on now.
what the problem is.
Come on now. Come on with it. Come on with
Planetary
it.
abilities trumps in comparison to cosmic
Ouch.
things, okay?
Makes my brain hurt.
Trumps anything planetary, okay? It don't matter whether you got a healing factor or not. These things were born at the birth of the cosmos.
Right.
Okay? They hold every facet of existence in one thing.
Exactly.
All of existence is
All of
is that,
existence.
okay? The thing is, realistically, something like that is going to have some kind of crazy ass kickback. And if we're going to measure it, obviously, 2 snaps, Thanos survived. One more, if he did it one more time, it would have killed him.
Right.
Let's be
You know
real.
what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Dave Porter trolling. Yeah,
He is
yeah.
trolling.
No, he's not. No, this is
Nah,
him.
he's
No,
not
this is
trolling.
him. This is who
not
he
trolling.
is. He's not trolling. This
He's
is
not
no.
trolling.
This is who he
No,
is.
100% he's not
This
trolling.
is
Put it
who
this
he
way.
is. No, he's not trolling.
But
let's
put it this
be
way:
real,
they've
though.
already
Go ahead.
explained. They've already explained the caliber of person that you need to be to wield the stones in Guardians of the Galaxy via the Collector. He
Right.
explained the type of being you need to be to wield these stones. Obviously, Quill was half celestial, so he was able.
Q's a fool. He said you should put some tussin on it. Q a fool.
But either way,
Right there.
Go ahead. Go ahead with your thought. Go ahead.
at one point,
Yeah.
Quill was half celestial. At one point,
Right.
you got somebody that's like a very powerful being in Thanos.
Right.
Thor is somewhere up there, but he wasn't in the condition to handle it, obviously. And then you have Hulk, who at least has some, cognizance of himself as the Hulk, but he's more Banner than Hulk, so he's not savage. He's Hulk, but he's not a savage. So he can Hulk would have only survived one snap. He barely survived the one
He
snap.
barely survived the one that he got. Yeah.
So if he would have tried to do the same thing Thanos did, it would have
No,
killed him the
it's a
second
wrap.
round.
It's a wrap.
Like,
He
it
would have
would've
dead.
been done.
Not only that, let's just be real. The Power Stone by itself kills people just from touching it. That's just one stone.
Right. The slave
So
girl, the collector
Right.
slave girl, she just
blew
touched
up.
it. She blew up.
Right. So and we've seen the Power Stone decimate an entire planet by itself. Now you add 5 more stones to that? Are you kidding me? Yeah, his arm is screwed up.
Right. So now Dave trying to check me and saying, he's like, okay, so now my question now, I said the Hulk will never heal. No, he won't. He won't ever heal. He said, so that being said, Hulk won't be healed in any future films. You're not going to see him. Ruffalo's
Didn't
done.
they say what's his name was done though?
Yeah, Ruffalo's done. You're not going to see him.
So they're
he's
moving
done.
on.
Right, they're moving on.
You don't need to have the Hulk in any other films. They got the rights to Fantastic Four and all of the fucking everything around it. They got the rights for X-Men. They got the rights for other characters that can become Avengers, because we all know, this guy included, who doesn't read comic books, there are more Avengers than just the ones we've seen. So they can bring more people in. Hell, there might even be a Squirrel Girl.
You know who's going to be the next... You know who's going to be the next Hulk of the MCU? You know who's going to be the next Hulk of the MCU?
Yar.
The ever-loving blue-eyed thing, Benjamin J. Booth. That's going to be the Hulk of the MCU.
Dave, come on.
He just contradicted himself now. He
listen,
said,
we've already explained the fact that you have to be a certain type of caliber of character to wield the stones. Thanos has no problem wielding the Power Stone by itself. Ronan didn't have a problem wielding the Power Stone by itself.
No, he had to channel it to his hammer.
I mean, he did, but he still handled it to some degree.
Yeah. No doubt.
Okay,
no doubt.
But Thanos, we've already seen he could handle one stone by itself. That's nothing to him. So
one stone ain't nothing, right?
Him using it on Captain Marvel was nothing.
Again, it goes back to all these Hulk fans are butthurt because Hulk's character finally actually adapted and changed over what we've had with Hulk for the last 30 years. So now all of a sudden that is smart Hulk that is straight out of the books. Oh, it's not the Hulk. So what? Get over it.
Yo,
moving on.
People were like, he was like, Ed Kretz was over on YouTube. He was like, Hulk was so lame. He was like, okay, stairs. Hulk doesn't take the stairs, dude. Even in the freaking movie, I was like, Hulk, if you hate the stairs, just jump down. Even my daughter said that. Like, dude,
thinking the same thing.
Just jump down. Like, what are you doing? He wasn't thinking, but because Tony told him to take the stairs, he took the stairs. That joke was hilarious, man.
That was a skinny stairwell, man. I don't think he would have.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. You're right. Hey,
man,
well, whatever.
Dude, speaking of that part, how cool was it when Cap intercepted the scepter in the elevator?
Oh yeah, the Hell Hydra thing was one of my favorite things.
I don't care how mad people were. I think it was like a year before last when they did the whole Captain Hydra thing. I don't care how mad they was. That scene alone redeems anything revolving around that. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that the Captain Hydra, Hell Hydra thing or whatever is no longer infamous. Like, to me, that was one of the greatest, because for one, it was a nod to one of the best scenes in Winter Soldier #1. #2, you had him pull one of the best hat tricks in comic book continuity, and this man did the Hell Hydra. I'm like, oh my God.
The Hell Hydra thing was awesome. I saw it coming, but it was awesome.
I don't think that was the best one. I think the best one was when he was fighting himself, and then he said, "Bucky is alive." That was the better one.
Martha moment.
Because it was like
Martha moment. Martha moment.
At that point, I could just use that.
Martha moment. You know that. Come on. You know it was a Martha moment. Come on now. That was Martha moment.
He said, "How do you know that name?"
There it is. Yes.
The moment done.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Yeah, no, they definitely were. People were saying that was the Martha moment of the movie, but I was like, yeah, that was.
But here's the other thing, and this goes back to the character growth thing, because yes, Cap could have fought his way out of that. But since Cap decided that, hey, we're kind of in stealth mode, I need to figure out another way around this.
Right, we ain't got time for all this nonsense.
Right, that's just something to show just how much different Cap was from the way he used to be back in 2012. So I mean, it's like all of these people complaining about, oh well, they didn't change this or nobody grew. It's like, okay, you just weren't paying attention then. Because
look who in the chat. He's here. He's ready for it. Lee's ready for you. Lee's ready for you. Lee's ready for you. He's here.
Good.
Oh, and Dave says your comments don't count because you're a shareholder. So he says you're biased, basically.
It has nothing to do with being a shareholder. That just means I'm intelligent. I'm an intelligent fan.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Oh man.
But you know, my other gripe before we move on to start talking about possibly we'll talk about Spider-Man: Far From Home, the trailer, what it set up, and all the things that it kind of revealed. Was a lot of people were mad about the kind of the slow pace of the first hour, and I didn't understand that. It's like, you know, they spent 10 years building up this narrative, and you know, they realistically showed all of the heroes dealing with, you know, loss in different ways. You know, Cap was basically trying to work his way through and move on. Natasha was basically an emotional wreck after, you know, what happened with Clint and everything else. She was just, I mean, dude, she was so overly emotional. It was like she didn't know what to do.
They're not supposed to have emotions, though.
Right.
Especially her.
Right. Especially her. So, and then you had, of course, you had Clint dealing with probably, you know, another really big aspect of how humans deal with grief. You know, dude lost his entire family, and then, you know, he became incredibly angry because there was a lot of, you know, criminals left behind who were still preying on innocent people left behind, and he just got angry and just decided to go all renegade all Ronin and just murder them all. So, you know, and how many humans can't? I mean, there's a lot of humans that can empathize with a lot of those emotions that were flowing through that movie. This was by far the most emotionally heavy comic book film I've ever seen. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you know, Marvel, you know, did a dark movie. No, it wasn't dark. Y'all got to stop confusing dark with emotionally heavy. It was emotionally heavy. There was nothing dark about it. Edward Scissorhands, that's a dark movie. Dark City, that's a dark movie. Well, what else? Any Tim Burton film you could think of, you know, besides Edward Scissorhands. You know, Heather's dark film. This isn't dark. Stop equating dark with emotionally heavy. That's not what this is.
Ken, I don't want emotions in my comic book movies. They just need to blow stuff up.
Yeah, go watch Fast and Furious.
Why are they crying?
Right.
I don't understand. They just lost their best friend. Why are they crying?
Right.
I love this. This is great, by the way. This is so good.
Right.
This is so absolutely good.
Hobbs and Charles right around the corner if you need your
Right.
Dave is complaining about the rat that let Ant-Man out, knowing full well this is a comic book movie and shit like that happens all the time.
All the time. All
in
the time.
comics, they happen.
Right.
They write this shit in the comics. Stop it. Please, stop it.
I love it. I love it.
Come on. I read comic books, but this movie is unrealistic.
I know, right? Don't you love that argument? Don't you love that argument?
The Hulk, they're not real.
Right.
The comic book characters based off.
Dude, like this is the same stuff.
I'm sorry.
This is the same stuff.
Man.
No,
getting on my
for real.
nerves, man.
But this is the same stuff that, you know, DCEU films always be like, oh, well, it's so freaking real. I'm like, dude, what's so real about an alien demigod that can fly and shoot lasers from his eyes? Come on now. What's real about that? Get out of here. What billionaire do you know running across rooftops acting like a ninja?
Real.
Get out of here.
Not real.
It's not supposed to be real.
Not real. I love that movie.
All our
You ever
billionaires
see
with
a
Jeff
fucking
Bezos
flying
and
eyeball monster? No.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, which obviously, you know, highlighted how the world is going to be set moving forward with the MCU. We saw that, you know, Peter is still grieving the loss of Tony. Happy's still, you know, mourning the loss of Tony, and the world is kind of like different. You know, a lot of his friends are probably still in high school. Like, a lot of his friends are still in high school. So Michelle's there, Flash is there, Betty Brant is there, Ned is there, and they're kind of like the ones that are left behind. Everybody else is probably like not snapped, and these 5 are the ones that go on a trip overseas. And it's probably something set up, maybe for these 5 because they were the Vanished and they somehow returned. I mean, that'll be a nice perk to have, I guess. But anyway, so, going overseas and, they meet Nick Fury and then you run into Mysterio and Mysterio says he's from another Earth. Now, if anybody knows Mysterio, they know his entire shtick is, misdirection and lies. So anyone that believes that Mysterio is really from another Earth, I got a bridge in Wyoming to sell you. Because that's really not what's happening.
He could be lying, but he could be from another. Because why? I don't think, like, just by watching the trailer, that Nick Fury talked to Mysterio. I think that they're probably monitoring things, and things are acting weird, and things are happening that this is an explanation because, like, it does give them a reason to do a multiverse. Seriously. Now they've opened that up. Now they can bring in, this, they can bring in that, they can do whatever. So maybe he is, but what he is lying about is being a good guy, which we all know that he's more than likely.
That's definitely a possibility. And the thing is, I'm not going to rule out that there's possibly a red herring going on with that aspect. But I do find it interesting that based on what we see in the trailers, that he's definitely playing that all the way to the hilt, because you can see that, like, there's going to be multiple instances in the movie where he's building that trust with Peter. So it's not just that first meeting, like, because it was another really quick scene with him in the black suit, him somewhere, whatever, and he's talking to him then. So that's going to be interesting in itself to just see how far it gets played up and where, it leads to. Now, my only somewhat issue, it's not a big issue, but it is kind of like it's kind of a thing that they may or may not have to retcon. I don't know, but it is kind of weird that they are dubbing the MCU universe as 616.
The 616, yeah. I didn't like that. I don't think they should do that. I didn't like that.
I'm like, hold on, wait.
Who did that? Did they do that in the trailer?
Yeah, no, there was a clip that came out today from the Ellen show. Tom Holland was on Ellen, and Tom Holland, of course, Mr. Loose Lips and all that, always spoiling shit. So he played this clip, and they were talking about Fury said that the Earth Mysterio comes from, I think, was 1888, and this one's Earth Reality 616. And I'm like,
yeah, they shouldn't have did that. They should. The comic book should be 616, and that's
I agree with that.
The crazy thing is that they already gave the MCU like a universe number.
A universal destination. Yeah, that's true.
So that's why it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if that was like Sony's goof or somebody else's, but I don't know. Like, it's not a huge issue, but it's still an issue nonetheless, because they've already established the MCU as, they confirmed that it was its own universe and they had a number designated for it. So, and I don't know, they might do something different with it later. Maybe somebody at Sony finally kind of got the memo and was like, you guys do know that the main comic continuity is 616, right? This is not what this is, right? But I don't know. We'll see what they do with it. I don't know if they just want to just separate the movies from the comics and just make the movie universe the apex or whatever they're going to do, or whatever. I don't know. Like,
what the funny thing is? The nod from Endgame in 616 is that was the bin that Scott Lang's stuff was in. It was
and John P just brought up
616.
Well, and John P also brought up that was written on the chalkboard of Dr. Selvig back in Thor: The Dark World.
Yep. 616 was they throw that number in there every now and again. So like I said, the funniest thing was like Scott Lang's van and everything was in storage bin 616.
Yeah. So
they've obviously been throwing it around. I don't know.
Right. They've obviously been hinting at it for a while. But so how do we think
about Jake Gyllenhaal?
Jake Gyllenhaal? Okay.
As Mysterio? Okay, what about him?
I'm scared about that. That's the only thing that scares me.
Why? I really want to know why. Why is that?
Why? Jake's a good actor.
Is he?
Yeah. Like he's
I don't have a
shown his
problem with
acting
him.
chops before, and the guy's a
Right,
good
I
actor.
don't have a problem with him. What's the problem?
I
I
don't
don't
know. I don't know if he's gonna be. I'm just concerned that it's gonna be not great. That
Okay,
is.
okay, hold on. When has Marvel ever miscast anybody?
Jane Foster.
Marvel Studios. Who?
Jane Foster, Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's
sorry,
that's a personal gripe. I didn't find any problem with Jane Foster.
Yeah, Natalie Portman did exactly what she was supposed to do in that movie. She played the girl that they had her play. So I'm talking about actual people, major people that they cast. Who have they ever miscast?
Right.
Said Whiplash.
Dave Porter said Whiplash. Dave said Whiplash.
No.
Mickey Rourke. No. Hey man, I want my bird. No, my bird.
hate to say it,
Dude, come
I
on, man.
found
He
it.
was great.
And
But-
even though I personally do not hate the decision that they went, because they did do it in a way was acceptable to me. I do know a lot of you fans of Marvel movies out there are gonna disagree with me, but Ben Kingsley, because they could have actually had him be the actual Mandarin.
What was his name?
No,
It was
see-
Trevor.
no,
what,
see-
what was his name?
Trevor Slattery.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Kingsley still wasn't poorly cast because he could have been the real Mandarin because he was of Asian descent. They didn't necessarily have to make him the Mandarin in the classic vein, like GQ was saying. But Marvel decided, or maybe it was Shane Black, I don't know who.
I blame Shane Black.
You blame Shane Black? Okay, fine. I'll roll with that. Shane Black decided to basically throw in that curveball and do the whole avoidance of the Mandarin thing, so he kind of cheated us out of that. But I don't really
Part of me
view
thinks they
Ben
did that
Kingsley-
because of China. Because if you think,
Oh yeah,
about
no
it,
question.
Yes,
Absolutely
I really
no
don't
question.
think that they
Absolutely
want
no
China's
question.
money, and if they do things that upset the Chinese
Oh,
populace, they're
know
not
what?
going to get China's money.
Monday, my friend Monday from my friend Monday said, was Terrence Howard a good roadie? Nah.
Don't know.
That's always a very interesting question because
It's kinda hard to
watch
say because he
Iron Man
really
1
didn't get a
again.
chance.
Right, you didn't give him a chance. And in Iron Man 1, he wasn't exactly terrible. He wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible either. So
He didn't have but he also didn't really have a lot to do in that movie.
he did not. That
He
is
did
very
not.
true. He did not. Now, can you imagine him
He said
being
not.
Rhodey in
That's
Iron
what he
Man
said.
2 with all the lines that
No.
Cheeto had? Or can you imagine Terrence Howard in Iron Man 3 with in a buddy cop film with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark? No, I can't
No.
see that either.
No.
So I don't know. Man.
I'm gonna say this once, man. Get out.
Yes.
Right. They would have been in that part. They would have been in that part of the oil rig. He'd have been like, nice shooting the glass, man. Nice shooting the glass, man. He's like, how you supposed to hit the bulb? That's how you hit the bulb, man.
Sure.
He was like, dude, it would have been.
Like I couldn't. Like I'm sorry, I didn't. I couldn't. I could not buy Terrence Howard as an Air Force colonel. I just couldn't. I watched the movie. I remember watching the first Iron Man again a few years I think it was like after Avengers came out and watched it again, and it's just like watching it again. It's like he could probably go off RDJ good enough, but with him trying to be like an Air Force colonel, I couldn't buy that. I just couldn't buy it. It's just, I don't know what it was. I don't know.
I want Terrence Howard as Dr. Doom.
Did any
I want Terrence Howard as Dr. Doom just to mess with everybody.
Stop it.
Just to mess with everybody. I want Terrence Howard to be Victor
So
Von Doom.
so check it out, right? You remember in Iron Man 1 when Tony and Rhodey were on the plane? Dude, when they had the whole hot towels thing, the only thing I could think of was back then, you know how Terrence Howard said he has an affinity for baby wipes? That's all I thought of when I saw him in that hot towel. Was like imagining him just, trying to wipe himself like he did with when Destiny's Child was dancing on stage with him in the BET Awards. Remember that? When he made a fool of himself, like he was just drooling all over Beyonce because she was giving him a lap dance. Dude, it was just like that, dog. Come on, man. Him in that hot towel. No. You know what? He might have been one, but there was another one. that somebody
again,
just put in the
Again,
chat earlier.
I don't see that as a miscast. That was literally the actor and the studio couldn't come to agreement.
No, that's true. No, that's true.
So
That's true.
that's not a miscast. That's not like, oh my god, he was terrible in the performance.
Yeah.
No, he
Like-
just didn't get.
Yeah, because I would never say he was terrible. I just think just for the character, I didn't like, because I've read enough Iron Man, or at least like read enough Iron Man comics or War Machine comics to really get a sense of how the character was. And I'm not saying Terrence did a bad job, but I just think that like he just wasn't the embodiment of James Rhodes to me. Like, just he wasn't. Like, to me, Don Cheadle filled that role better than me.
No, he did. No, he did. Yeah, without question, I think so.
Because another one that came up was Ed Norton as Banner
Ed
versus
Norton.
Mark Ruffalo.
No.
And again,
Go ahead.
Norton's Banner was cool.
It
but
was.
Ruffalo's was better. I'm sorry. I like Ruffalo as an.
And I really like
Banner,
Norton.
yes.
I really did. I really did like Norton. I did. I
Yeah,
liked Norton as Bruce Banner. I did.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
Did
did.
you really?
Yes, I did.
I
Do I have to
did.
repeat that? Yes, I did.
The idea of Edward Norton, like what he was, like how he portrayed the character, like made sense. Like I bought him
Yeah.
being like, the scrawny edge, like, kind of like always on edge scientist trying to get rid of this disease known as the Hulk. Like I bought that.
Yeah.
So
the thing is,
if you look at if you ever watch, I don't know how old you guys are, but if you ever watched the original TV show The Hulk from like way back in the 80s and whatnot,
I watched enough of
I
it.
think Ruffalo was a much better choice because he looked more like the original guy who played the character. I
But the
think that
thing
was
is,
a better
though,
choice.
no, I
Plus,
agree.
I don't like Edward Norton. I think is a great actor. He just wasn't a great actor in that movie for me.
No. Here's
that's fine.
the thing though, because it's funny that you bring up the TV show. Norton's Banner was very much like the Banner from the TV show, kind of on the run, living under the radar as best he could. So I liked that aspect of it, and I liked there was a ton of nods to the TV show in that movie.
Yes, there
And
were.
even the way they started it up with like him being in the gamma chair and all that other sort of stuff, that was really well done. And Norton, he really embodied that whole man on the run thing, and that was cool. I enjoyed that aspect of it. But when it came down to the acting, and again, like you said, Norton is a great actor, but when it came down to the actual acting and emoting and bringing Banner as the tormented scientist, the tormented man out, Ruffalo killed it. I think Ruffalo did that way better than Norton did.
He did.
So, yep,
Yeah,
right down there.
I can agree with
Monday brought it up. Bill Bixby, exactly. They even had Bill Bixby even got like a posthumous cameo in the original Incredible Hulk movie. He was on one of the Spanish TV shows for like a hot second.
The courtship of Eddie's father.
Yep.
The name of the show.
Yep. So they, like I said, they did an amazing job with their casting. So that's what I've been saying from the get-go. It's like, I don't care what people say about whether they like this character, that character, story, blah, blah, blah. They pick people that once they do it, you can't see nobody else doing that exact same role. Because Iron Man, I'm sorry, to me, Tony Stark is locked up for the rest of our generation. Like nobody should even try to play that character from now until maybe 2035. Like they should lock that off for like at least another 16 years.
Yeah, I think a generation does have to pass.
Gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, I think a generation does have to
Nobody's
pass.
going to be able to do what Downey did. Downey did it too good. So
Yep, until they reach a
same thing
point where they go ahead.
Same thing with Thor.
Same thing
And
with
then,
Cap.
Yeah, well, Cap is thankfully he passed it on. But I think Thor, the cool thing about Thor is, Hemsworth is, he's ready to do it. He wants to keep doing it, and that's fine. But Thor was a character that I never honestly cared about until saw the first movie. Like, dang, Hemsworth did a damn good job. Like, this is cool. So and that's what it is. It's and the funny thing is, DC's finally found a Superman that I really like. They just won't let him be Superman.
Hey, no.
Yeah. And I mean, I will go as far as to say, I will go as far as to agree with that sentiment too. Definitely Henry Cavill is Superman. I feel like he's just criminally underutilized as a character. The only thing they got going for him right now is Aquaman right now with Jason Momoa, and then we still have yet to see how Wonder Woman 84 is going to be next year. and whether or not that's going to hold on some steam after the fact. Because
Like, why are they waiting so long for her movie?
They're waiting
I
way
don't
too
understand.
long, man.
I have no idea. I don't know
I don't
what they're
get it.
doing over there, but
Yeah,
it's just the
I don't
fact
get
that
it.
it's like, dude, y'all had. See, it would have made sense for me if they probably would have had Wonder Woman follow up after Aquaman, and then probably like have Shazam later on in the summer. Because with everybody still loving Wonder Woman like that, like it would made more money than Shazam did when it came out in March. So it's like that's how I feel. But then again, this is Warner Brothers. We don't know what the hell they're thinking, and so on and so forth. So we just leave it at that. So I mean, the only smart thing that we know that they are doing is that they're trying to focus more on their obscure characters for the live action films. But once again, we just have to see how they handle it, because even after how much a lot of folks liked Aquaman and how much they like Shazam, we still got Birds of Prey later on this year, and jury is still way out on that one. So, but we digress. We're talking Marvel tonight. So
we're not talking all Marvel tonight. Remember, we got to get to some of the summer movies. So,
yeah.
I think
there's other movies coming out this summer.
Yes, there are. There are other movies coming out this summer. Surprise, surprise. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So, 2019 is going to be is much like it was. I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago. Has a slate of summer movies that obviously are not going to measure up to the epicness of Avengers Endgame. Nothing is going to reach that box office bonanza. I mean, hell, it made over $1 billion in one weekend. Already went on cruise control to get to $2 billion. Within 10 days. So. Within actually not 10 days, but within 2 weekends. But here's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about some of these upcoming movies that are getting ready to come out, right? So we're gonna talk about like John Wick 3 is getting ready to come out. Detective Pikachu is coming out this Friday. We got Godzilla. Godzilla King of Monsters coming out. We've got Child's Play. You got It Part 2. We've got a lot of really great movies getting ready to come out. So let's talk about some of the most anticipated films that are going to be coming out this summer. So let's go ahead and start. So we already talked about, we're going to talk about John Wick 3. That's obviously one that's getting ready to come out in a few weeks. Detective Pikachu comes out Friday. I know GQ said he's not going to go see that at all. At all. I'm going to go see it to check it out.
Like I said, the only way I'll go see that movie, and
is
real quick,
Mewtwo's laying waste to people.
Yeah, Mewtwo's got to be killing people. But no, Dido, Matthew wants to know what game you're playing right now.
This game is called Pong, P-A-N-G, also known as Super Buster Brothers, but it was called Pong in the rest of the world, and in the United States, Super Buster Brothers, and it's the newest version. You can find it on Steam, and it's also on PlayStation 4. I'm not too sure if it's on Nintendo Switch and Xbox One, but who cares when it's on the PlayStation 4 and Steam, right?
Also, why does your character look like Ash, though?
I don't know.
I know he sure does, doesn't he?
Clear influences.
Right. Yeah. The generic guy look. I don't know.
No, Sharita. I've never been a fan of Pokemon ever, Sharita. Like ever. When Mewtwo first showed up in the first movie and pretty much dusted everybody, that was the first time Pokemon seemed interesting to me. And then they went ahead and reversed everything and had Mew bring everybody back. I'm like,
hey, this man was happy when Ash died in that film. He was like, yes, great.
I was like, you could have rolled credits right there. I'd have been like,
yes, he sure did. He sure did. So we've got just this month alone. Let's run down the list of movies that are getting ready to come out. We got Detective Pikachu on Friday. You got next week. You got John Wick 3. Then you've got. After that, you've got Brightburn. Not Brightburn, but then you got Godzilla's King of Monsters. You got Brightburn. You got Aladdin. The Deadwood movie is getting ready to come out this month. So, I mean, we got a lot of stuff getting ready to come out just this month alone. So, what are you mostly looking forward to, and how much money do you actually, honestly think it's going to pull in, after Endgame kind of really dies down? So we all said John Wick 3. We know John Wick 3 is going to be, that hype sauce. A lot of people are saying John Wick is going to be probably the biggest movie outside of outside of Endgame this month. I'm not absolutely sure about that. For me personally, I think it's going to be the best movie to come out this month, but I don't think it's going to be the highest grossing movie. I still think that I give the early nod to Aladdin being the top grossing film of this month when it does come out. I know a lot of people make a lot of bones about Will Smith and the genie character, but it's still Aladdin. It's still going to pull in a lot. I don't remember how did Beauty and the Beast, the live action Beauty and the Beast, do in the theaters? I know Dumbo
Over
didn't
a
do
billion.
too good.
Okay. It made over $1 billion.
Okay, so and I know Dumbo did not do very well. I don't know if it's because of Tim Burton's involvement or what, but Dumbo did not do very well in the theaters. But I think Aladdin is going to probably end up being a winner. But John Wick 3 probably will still pull in a pretty decent amount. I'd say probably maybe about 250. It'll probably do domestically.
Maybe three.
Think about 300 million domestic.
Maybe because John Wick has a really good following right now, and the first, you had the first movie, the second movie, came along, and now you got the third one. Like, folks were hyped for it, so I think it could potentially break the 3 billion mark once it's all said and done.
I think it's gonna do 5.
I mean, 300 million mark. I'm sorry.
Wait, did you say 3 billion? What?
No. I said mil. No, not bill. I said
million. Oh, okay. I was like, okay.
No.
Yeah,
okay, my bad.
There's only one movie hitting that 3 billion mark, man.
Right.
There's only one movie that gets 3 billion.
Right.
One.
Potentially the one that's killing the record right now, but yeah.
Right. So,
but
yeah. So we think John Wick could probably make about 300 million in box office growth. Say 500. So what is this? Is this an auction? We trying to raise our hands now? It's like 500. I got a 5. Do I 5? Do I 500 million? Do I got 6? I got 600 million. No, okay.
I just think y'all are underestimating John Wick. Like, people have been waiting for this movie for a while, so I think y'all underestimating it.
Well, the only reason I say this is because it's already kind of nerfed a little bit because it's an R-rated film. 1, 2, it caters to a certain audience, and I don't really think that that audience has that big of a box office draw behind them. Not like something like a Detective Pikachu or an Aladdin or something like that. That's the only reason why I say that. I could easily see. Like Dave just said, it'll make 600 million. I could see that as a worldwide tally. It's 600 million. I can see worldwide, for John Wick, but at best probably 300. Domestic, 300 million domestic. Whereas Aladdin, I think, is probably gonna coast to $1 billion pretty easy. Honestly.
Well, looking at it, the thing is that, like, even looking at the past 2 movies, like, they never really broke like the $100 million mark individually. So
in domestic, really?
No. Looking at it, no.
John Wick 1 or 2 didn't break 100 million.
John Wick 1 only made 43 million domestically.
Get the hell out of here! Are you really serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh.
It's yeah. I mean,
was that at the time when Keanu was kind of like rebounding from movies like 47 Ronin, and people were kind of bullish about him as a solo actor? So that might explain that. So what did John Wick 2 do?
Wait. I take that back. Hold on. Okay. Well, the first one didn't. Like, the first one made about 88. So okay. So I just read it wrong. But the second one, I believe, did 171 worldwide. It made 92 domestic.
So worldwide, I gave 92 domestic. That's it, man. No.
Yeah.
That's too low for that.
I mean, for this one, I mean, it might still have a better following, but I think just to kind of be realistic with the projection, I'm probably gonna put it like somewhere like 175 maybe. I'll say maybe.
Now he lowering his projections now. Okay, smart speculator there. I'm
gonna say 175.
Okay, he says 175. Okay, maybe 200. I get it. Matthew P. Sartland, he likes 47 Ronin.
Wow.
More power to you, brother. More power to you.
I didn't hate it either. Like it could have been better, but I didn't hate it.
So the title card showed Godzilla fighting Ghidorah, and I've been so hyped for this movie. I've been so ready for this movie ever since the end of Kong Skull Island, when they showed that that picture of all of them. Like, of all the movies to get you really hyped for Godzilla King of Monsters, Kong Skull Island was not what I was anticipating. But I'm definitely glad that they did it, and it was building my hype for this movie. But Godzilla movies typically don't do too well stateside, which is unfortunate, but I'm super hyped for it. It's definitely better than that last Godzilla American Tragedy shit.
You talking about the recent one or the 97?
No, I'm talking about the 90s one, man. Oh my God, that thing was bad.
Yeah,
that thing was terrible. But I'm very much looking forward to Godzilla King of Monsters.
Same.
Because I love a good monster, apocalyptic type deal. And you know what? Even when in the trailer, I thought the humans were incredibly stupid. Like, you see Ghidorah, you see Ghidorah's entrapped in ice. You gonna free him? What is your problem? Like, humans are like the stupidest people ever.
We must know why he's doing that.
I mean, like,
we must find out.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of feel about the same way I feel about another Batman movie is the same way I feel about a Godzilla movie.
I never got into the Godzilla movies. They just don't do anything for me.
Still, though, they have beat that into the ground. Like, how many movies?
Wait a minute, stop. How do you beat Godzilla in the ground? He hasn't even been released domestically like that. What are you talking about? How do you beat Godzilla in the ground?
There's been but just think about how many Godzilla movies there's been over time. Yes,
in Japan.
Domestic, but I'm just saying there's so many of them. Like, okay, we get it. So now in 2019, it's better graphics than it was in 1980 or whatever. But like, the story is, the same.
The story is the same.
The
story, I get it, is the same. I get it.
The kaiju, there's still a market for kaiju movies.
There are, man.
There's still a market for that.
I'm a sucker for those movies. It speaks to the kid in me.
I guess there's a market for Batman movies, but does that mean we need 75 more of them? No.
Hey, look, I'm not gonna argue that Batman needs more movies now. I'm not gonna do that.
First of all, that's the Bat God of DC you're talking about.
Right.
So
it doesn't matter.
Let's pretend that man does not bring in box office receipts every time they make a movie.
I can do without another Superman, another Batman, another Godzilla.
Very well, we can do without them, but let's not pretend like they don't bring in box office receipts when they do make them now.
I mean, yeah. Right. I mean, like, at what point do we say, enough is enough? Bring us something new.
We leave it up to Warner Brothers, never.
Right.
And it's 100% up to them.
Godzilla is a worldwide icon. Come on now, and he's never been done justice in Hollywood. The Japanese movies always have a trope, and they always seem to find a way to fall into it. At least the American ones don't seem to be falling into that. At least not right now, from what we can tell. So perhaps there's some hype there. But here's a dark horse entry for this month: Brightburn, the movie that is about an evil Superman child. And a lot of people are really hyped, and naturally they should be hyped for a movie of this nature. I mean, James Gunn is directing it. This is a James Gunn directed film, and he said literally this movie is about an evil Superman. So what makes this better than a Batman versus Superman type movie where we're showed a nightmare Superman where he's in the thralls of the anti-life equation and he's all angry and he's all brooding? Well, here's the difference. The difference is that this movie is not Superman. That's literally the difference.
One major difference, yeah.
That's the major difference. See, if you don't have to try and pretend that this is Superman, you won't have your sensibilities offended. You can just go into it and be just fine and say, "Oh, well, Superman wouldn't do that." You're right. He's not Superman. So there you go.
There you go.
So it's supposed to be like irredeemable.
I'm not. That actually isn't a bad analogy, but he's literally going to be a kid. So it's not Monday. Thank you for spoiling that for me. The Bucks just closed out the Celtics, and by closed out, he says they smashed the Celtics. Thank you for spoiling that for me. I was wondering about the game. I appreciate that, sir. But no, literally, it's about a kid Superman that was raised by parents who discovers he has all these powers, but he's a little touched in the head, I guess, or he's completely amoral, something like that. Got made fun of one too many times on the playground and decided to actually break Billy's hand that tried to bust him up on the playground and actually liked it. So I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
All it takes is just one little push, and
So,
the thing
yeah.
is that like from what we've seen in the trailers of it, like it does seem to be like a little bit of an external influence there as well. So you got that into play along with the somewhat of a less than kosher nature of humanity. So
this is essentially what would happen if Superman fell down on the planet in present day. That's just all it really is telling. It's telling the story of if you had a child that was bullied at any point in his life or whatever, and you put him in that environment with powers, this is what you're going to get. You're not going to get truth, justice in the American way. You're going to get a very angry, sadistic child, and that's just reality. Because you couldn't let me land on this planet with powers.
No. That would be a bad thing.
I'd be your overlord by the time I was 17.
Right. So he's like, Matthew hasn't seen the trailer. No, dude, you need to go see the trailer. It is really interesting. It's a very interesting take on the possible Superman mythos. So I'm interested in seeing that. Now, I don't anticipate Brightburn making a lot of money, especially since it's an R-rated film. And if parents take their kids to go see this, I might really have to call Child Protective Services on some people, because that's just.
Wait, why?
I mean, because, man.
You act as if it's gonna be like sex and all this other crazy stuff.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
I mean, it depends.
Right.
It's going to be interesting overall because it's going to be an interesting movie. It's it's going to be R-rated horror with a child killer. So I mean, not really sure like as far as like recent years, like how well those particularly do in the box office, but I mean, it probably would make a moderate amount. So
I don't see it making a lot. I don't see it making a lot of money.
Yeah, because I think like just with the special. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the budget went to the special effects that's in it, but I don't know. Like, it really seems like it's definitely like on the low end of the budget, but still relatively done well. So I'm pretty sure they did it in a way to where they projected like a modest amount, and it's probably going to wind up like it might be a surprise hit, but it might also be one of those that wind up in the cult classic, section
Gunn,
along
man.
with
it's James Gunn, man.
Slither.
James Gunn.
I'm not even worried. I'm like, it's gonna be good regardless. Like James Gunn so far. The only thing that James Gunn has been involved in that wasn't all that great was the Scooby-Doo movies. That's it.
Which one?
Which one?
He wrote both. He wrote both of them.
You wrote both of them?
The
first one wasn't bad. The second one,
the second one.
Never seen any of them.
I don't recall.
Wait a minute, stop.
It's
like Dido, you never saw any of the Scooby-Doo movies? Not either one.
I never liked Scooby-Doo growing up. When they made a live-action movie, I never said,
all right, that's fair.
Only thing that good came out of Scooby-Doo was Linda Cardellini.
Yes.
I'm sorry, who played Velma?
Yes. That was the first introduction to Hot Velma, and then all the memes about Velma being hotter than Daphne just took off like wildfire after that.
Yep, and she also played Hawkeye's wife.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So moving on from May, which is absolutely loaded. So then we go to June, and June sees the return of Men in Black. With Thor and Valkyrie in the form of Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth. Now, I think this movie can end up being really funny. I think it can end up being the sleeper hit of June because it doesn't really have a lot of competition in front of it, with the exception of Toy Story 4, which comes out in June as well. But
but Aladdin's a week before it, so I mean,
sure, Aladdin's a week
Disney's gonna
before.
end up shooting himself in the foot, man. They're gonna have too many freaking movies coming out of big block movies, and they're gonna come out too close to each other and start shooting.
Like that's why they tried to.
But they don't. But
isn't Lion King at the end of June?
Well, Lion King is in July with.
It's at the end of July. Okay,
yeah, it's at the end of July. So
yeah,
you know what? Q brought up that movie Ma that's starring Octavia Spencer. That movie looks really good. I don't think it's going to make a lot of money, but I think it's going to be really, really good. I do.
I think
that's a VOD movie for me.
Yeah. What are we going to say, GQ?
Video on demand.
No, I think what's cool about that, though, is it's showing that, African-American actors are playing a lot of different types of roles. Because if you would have gone 5 years back, there would have been a white lady playing that role. I'm just being straight up honest.
No, that's true. I can see that.
You're right. Because between what was it? Get Out a couple years ago, then you had Us this year, and now you got this one. And the thing is, we can have more movies other than the Sony distributed Screen Gems black movies that always comes out with the same plot. Right. So I mean, let's be real. Anytime we see those movies come out like in the first quarter of the year, they all look the same and they have the same exact plot.
Okay, all right. Now Monday is bringing up wondering which one's going to do worse, Men in Black International or Dark Phoenix. Men in Black International is going to do fine. Yeah, because people like comedic Chris Hemsworth.
Yes, they do.
They just do. Yeah. So that's gonna make some money, and then
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix is all over the place in their continuity. So they
it's probably just gonna.
Oh come on, man! It's the last X-Men Fox movie. We gotta go watch. We owe it to it.
We're gonna
owe it to them to
but
watch
it's probably not gonna make it. I predict that it's not gonna make any more than Apocalypse did.
And besides, GQ, that's just gonna put a little bit extra in your bottom line now. Going to see Dark Phoenix.
Oh no, I never said I wasn't going to go see it. It's just I'm just saying in the sense of it's not good. That one's probably going to underperform, but again, it's that continuity is screwed, man. Because
absolutely,
the movie's just going to give us more ammo at the end of the day. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. It definitely is going to give us more.
I will say this. I hope that they yes, the continuity is trash because they've rewritten the whole timeline like 5 times over.
Now you want to talk about time travel inconsistency and confusion? My God!
I'm like, what's going on here? So
oh wow, it's just
I just hope that they try to salvage what they can, and maybe
what's there to salvage? What? No, just burn it to the ground.
Deadpool. That's all that matters. They salvage Deadpool.
Yeah, sweep everything else under the rug, like everything. Just sweep it all under the rug. Just get rid of it. Just put it in the trash, all of it. So the other thing that we got to look forward to in the month of June is the Mark Hamill voiced Chucky in Child's Play. So what do we think of this as a horror remake? You think it's going to be good? You think it's going to be bad? What?
Them getting Mark Hamill aboard would make it interesting, for obvious reasons. I don't know. Just how I feel with remakes, especially horror remakes in general. Like
you liked it though, right?
I honestly ain't seen it. Like I've been avoiding that. So
why?
Because I kind of have a thing about clowns myself. So it's just
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but I don't know how I feel about this. It's like, look, the one thing so far that they have definitely gotten right was getting Mark Hamill to be a part of it. I will say that. As far as everything else, it still remains to be seen, and I'm just kind of just leaving it up to fate as far as that movie goes. I hope it's at least decent. I mean, I used to think the original was a comedy as a kid, so I mean, for obvious reasons, looking back on it, that movie is pretty much a comedy, even looking back on it now. So,
man, you thought it was a comedy back in the day. That's funny.
That is something that always bugged me about those movies. It's like, does the doll get the strength of the serial killer, or is the doll?
That's what I've always thought, but like that's the only thing that would make sense. Because like at a point, you got something that's like 3.5 feet tall, if that. but apparently strong enough to overpower a full-grown woman. So like it's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
like I'm saying, like I would love for Chucky to try to attack me in my basement. It's like, dude, I got weapons all over this basement. You ain't getting out of here without your stuffing all over the place, man.
So check it out, right? So Hannah Omega said, heard the new Pinhead sucked in the latest Hellraiser, but Hamill is Chucky's soul, right? So that got me thinking, did y'all hear who's writing the new Hellraiser movies?
Yeah, Mr. David Goyer.
David S. Goyer is writing Hellraiser. How you feel about that as a remake? With Goyer at the helm.
As long as they do it right, because like I for whatever reason I got into a Hellraiser phase, and I just started watching all the movies, and you could just see them gradually go there.
Yeah, they fell
like
off.
seriously.
They
So
fell off hard.
Yeah, like good gosh. So it just brings it back to the original. Then I'll be happy.
Here's who I want to handle that. I want Guillermo del Toro to handle it.
Oh, he would do it great.
Yeah,
I don't want Goyer doing it because Goyer Blade is what made Goyer like the new hotness for everybody, and then it just fell off. And then obviously he didn't do a whole heck of a lot with Man of Steel and Superman and all those various things. So I'm sorry, Goyer is. I don't see it, man. It's like, to me, Guillermo del Toro would be a better writer director for the Hellraiser series.
Shit,
no,
absolutely,
absolutely,
that would be
tremendously.
That would be real interesting.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I said I feel the way I feel about these horror remakes.
Right.
A lot of them, it's like some of them I can get with. Like I'm not even really that big of a horror person, but some of them I get with. Some I avoid because I probably wouldn't be able to stomach it, and there's just others that like I just avoid because it just looks trash. So like especially like a lot of these supernatural movies that have been coming out have been straight trash the last few years. That's why I've been like staying away from those. And then I heard good things about like when they remade the original Evil Dead, but like I stay away from that movie because like I'm real squeamish when it comes to that. But like stuff like Insidious, like I thought the Insidious series was actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And like
What about The Conjuring?
That one I haven't seen yet, but I heard good things, so that's at least something.
Yeah.
So
Conjuring was actually pretty good. Conjuring was pretty good.
Yeah. But then like I said, like a lot of these horror remakes though is just kind of like I don't know, like it's not a first Nightmare on Elm Street, then Friday the 13th, which both I think are.
Dude, he froze. He froze, but the look on his face when he froze was absolutely priceless. Like, can I get that back? Can I freeze that on? No, damn, he came back too fast. I was getting ready to freeze that on screen. Oh my god!
I don't know what the hell is going on.
Like he was stuck in the bridge, like.
He was talking bad about Freddy, and Freddy's frozen for a second. Like, nah. Dude.
Well, yeah, I was stating how they, how we got the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, both of which I believe are getting remakes again. And then you have Hellraiser on top of that, and then even though Jordan Peele is doing it, he's doing the remake of Candyman and whatnot. Granted, like he can do really good horror, so it's like obviously for horror fans that's gonna work. But again, it's just we still stuck in this whole thing with what is old must be made new again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So also in the month of June, it was the aforementioned Toy Story 4, but also the follow-up to Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson. And I have to be honest, man, the trailer for Shaft did not really do anything for me. Like, that movie looks like it's gonna bomb. Even if it's got Sam L in it, I don't see that movie doing too good. I'm being straight up.
Know.
It seems weird. It's like 3 generations of Shaft.
Yeah, doesn't it seem weird?
Yeah, when I heard that they were doing it, like my first instinct was just to ask why. Like,
but
that was literally like the first question I had, and it's just like
if I thought if they were going to do it like they did with John Singleton's Shaft, because when Samuel was first Shaft in back in the mid 2000s, when that was cool. I like that a lot. That one was really cool, and I felt like they waited too long to make this other one. And now that they're making it, it's like, yeah, y'all probably could have kept that. Y'all could have kept that. I don't know.
Yeah, the Shaft with Sam Neill was really well done, but I'm not sure why they're doing it again. It's money, but I mean, it's like I don't know why they're particularly trying to do this because it doesn't seem like.
I don't know. Sam Jackson, Sam, I don't know. But Sam is like he's just sandwiched in between really big movies this year, and it's kind of like know, hey, maybe some of that residual will come over to this film in the meantime.
Kahuna was like,
about us to rap on Shaft after they kill Peoples.
Yeah, Peoples was my dude.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright, he did his thing on that movie.
Yes,
man.
he did. Peoples was my dude, man.
That dude was crazy.
I like.
Right. So, July seems kind of light, but they've got, it seems like, because it's only got 3 movies coming out, but they're 3 huge movies. You got Spider-Man Far From Home, you got The Lion King, and you got Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I'm not a big Tarantino fan, but I know GQ and Dido are like Tarantino, like,
I like his movies. He tells great stories.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the deal is with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't think I've watched the trailer. I'll have to watch the trailer, but maybe I'll join you guys, go and see it anyway, because I know I missed out on Hateful Eight.
Yeah, you did.
Another good
I missed out on Hateful Eight. I definitely missed out on Django Unchained. I missed out on that as well.
Hateful Eight is a very, very intriguingly made movie.
Yeah, I did miss out on Kill Bill 1 and 2. I did not miss out on those. I caught Pulp Fiction much, much later, but that was also really good. But Jackie Brown, I was never a fan of. I didn't really like Jackie Brown a lot, and I did go see that when it first came out, but I didn't really like it because I felt like it was overhyped. But that's just me. But let's talk about the 3 movies that we talked about. Spider-Man Far From Home, we already know we're gonna go see that. That's probably gonna make a lot of money because it's the first follow-up to Endgame. And people will be very interested to see how the MCU is shaped moving forward. I can see that. No Spider-Man movie has made $1 billion, and
this could
call me crazy. I still don't think this one's gonna make $1 billion, but I think it'll get the closest.
It could. This movie definitely could take at least the top spot at highest grossing Spider-Man film.
I could see that
because it has a lot of things that people want to see, especially after Endgame, because after Endgame, a lot of folks are going to wonder, it's like, okay, what's next?
So could it suffer from the same boost? Not suffer. Could it benefit from the same boost that a lot of people say Captain Marvel got? That it's the first film. It's the first film immediately preceding Endgame, much like Captain Marvel was the first film actually preceding Endgame. So
honestly, I honestly really feel like this could be, because the thing is, look, too many people love Spider-Man off jump. Okay, he was definitely. It's like, look, I take it this way: the fact that he was pretty much like one of the biggest applause outside of Black Panther when he returned in Endgame tells me a lot. That's very telling, because like even with Homecoming, regardless, whatever, like I think it's second highest grossing so far
out of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, wasn't it second highest grossing?
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 still has the top spot. Although I don't know how. Like I just
because it was the follow up to Spider-Man 2. That's why.
And I think it had Venom.
And they threw Venom in it, and then we know that story, but
we do. Yeah.
But other than that, but this one, I really do feel that Far From Home has the potential to crack $1 billion. It could be the first Spider-Man film to do it.
Let's put it this way: Spider-Man Far From Home, because of the fact, because look at what happened with Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 hit $1 billion because it was the first movie after Avengers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first movie after everything ended, so to speak, for as far as the original 6 and all that other sort of thing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what happens next. This movie is going to hit $1 billion.
Okay.
So this is the start to phase 5, right?
No. It is the official end of phase 3.
It's the end of phase 3, and next year's movies are going to be the kickoff to phase 4.
Right.
Okay.
And so to speak, we have dates for like the next 3 years, just no titles yet. Just so you're in the loop. We have dates. So we got 2 next year, and then 3 movies.
The 2 next year are Black
2 next years
Widow and Doctor Strange, right?
I'm assuming next year might be Guardians 3, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Guardians 3 is probably gonna be next year.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The search for Gamora.
Now some people are,
it's gonna be like the search for Spock.
It's the third movie, so hey,
yeah,
it's the search for Gamora.
We know Adam Warlock's probably going to be in that movie. But anyway, let's move on. So The Lion King is the same month, and Q saying is that's going to pull a little bit from that box office. I don't think so. See, it's like people think that 2 movies can't coexist, that people can't actually spend their money and go see both. They very much certainly can. They can do both on the same day. They very much can do both if they really want to see them. A lot of people want to see Lion King, but to GQ's point, a lot of people are really going to want to go see Spider-Man: Far From Home. So I totally can see, both of them doing $1 billion in that month for Disney. Like, damn, Disney just pulling in so much fucking money, dude. Like, just God.
It's like I said in the group like a few weeks ago. It's a surprise they haven't turned American currency to Disney dollars yet.
Right, right. I could totally see that happening one day.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a plan, man.
Right.
When you have a plan, you can get all sorts of money. Because let's just be real, their return on investment on Star Wars and Marvel has been insane. Because each one of them only cost them $4 billion.
Yeah,
they made that billions over.
Yeah, just even think of like that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Q crazy. Says Lion King is going to make $2 billion. All right, why?
Man, that's really bold, bruh. Like, I know a lot of people really love Lion King. They grew up on Lion King. I Just Can't Wait to Be King. James Earl Jones as Mufasa. Jeremy Irons as Scar. Legendary animated flick, but
really? I don't. You know what? I mean, I definitely will say it will make over 1, but I mean, like I said, like fans would have to literally come out in droves to drive that up to the $2 billion for that movie. And it's like, look, we know that Lion King is like the holy grail of animated Disney films to a lot of people. So, I mean, it could be possible. I mean, they have a really great cast for this film.
They do, but here's the other.
It's. I mean, like I said, but like for the $2 billion thing, it's like I don't know. Like it has to really leave a huge impression on everybody.
I want to know, how did Lion King do overseas? Because that's really going to be the overseas market is always the telling part of whether a movie is going to get to $1 billion or not.
You're right.
It can make a ton of money over here, but completely fall flat overseas because, the overseas markets may not be, unless it's a Marvel or Star Wars film, aren't that enamored with Disney properties. I could be wrong about that.
The original Lion King made $968 million. Its foreign take was just a little bit over what the domestic was. 545 million foreign, 422 million.
Okay.
Yeah, 422
okay. I completely stand corrected then. Oh my God.
Okay, it's
damn. Like, wait a minute. That was in the mid '90s when theater tickets were.
Right. You have to understand, Disney is still a powerhouse worldwide. They always have been. So it's not really something that you really got to worry about in that regard. And the other thing is, as far as the theater overlap, let's just be real. They're just going to force the theaters to show their movies like they are. They did
with Endgame.
Right, I went to the movie theater the other day, and Endgame was starting at least every 20 or 30 minutes. It was a show started.
Thursday nights it was doing that. They had to show them for every half hour up to 11 o'clock.
That's what I'm saying. That movie has just made it's like Disney has rewritten the rules when it comes to theater experience and theater going. So yeah, man. Them putting 2 movies out in the same month is nothing. I'm telling you, 2019 is going to be their year. period. Like they pretty much have all the
Yep.
blockbuster releases.
Yeah, totally. They totally do. So now let's talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's coming out. It's coming out in July. What makes this film so appealing for a lot of people that want to go see it? Educate.
Well, first off, it's Tarantino, so that's that's check mark number one. Secondly, is Tarantino bringing back Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, and going to be working with Timothy Olyphant and Margot Robbie, and just it's a dream cast of people with like a director that can tell stories like no one else. Like the dude is freaking amazing in his storytelling. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, and they're dealing with the whole like the stuntman angle of things in Hollywood. So it's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to enjoy it. And it's going to, be Tarantino's dive into movie making in the sense of, the behind the scenes of movie making, which with him being a film buff and who he is, it's going to be a very interesting story, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like for me, I think like what kind of appealed to me was, I guess because I'm assuming like it's kind of have like a historical fiction kind of thing, right? So it's like, you kind of showing like supposed to be like the golden age of Hollywood, and then like you have people who were actually like shown like are showing up who were actually big stars during that time. Because like I think like it was like one clip they showed, like they actually had like the main character, I think is Leonardo DiCaprio, like meets Bruce Lee, during that time or whatever. And it really seemed like the guy that they show playing him like really looks like him. And it's like, and it's supposed to be like kind of like, be in the midst of like the Hollywood life, like during the, I guess like just during that era between like, I was supposed to be like what, the 50s up until like the 70s or something like that. Like it's supposed to kind of like trail like during that time or something like that. So like that aspect of it is kind of interesting. So it's sort of like, okay, it's a historical fiction. It might be somewhat of a satire, but maybe loosely based on someone's life or so. So I mean, it kind of has that going for it. So it's gonna be an intriguing gem that comes out that month. So I would definitely more than likely see it in theaters when it comes out. So like Tarantino does make good films. Like criticism aside, the guy makes good films.
Also, Panda of Omega's asking about Zoe Bell. She might be in it. I'd actually have to double check because she was the one that was obviously Uma Thurman's stunt double in Kill Bill, and also she had a on-screen role in Death Proof. So she might be in it because, I mean, if they're going to focus on Hollywood, yeah, she is in it. Doesn't say who she's playing, but she is in it. So
Quentin Tarantino does definitely take care or cast somewhat of the same people because I guess they like working with him and he like knows what he's going to get. So
yep.
I have not been disappointed by a Quentin Tarantino movie at all. I mean, they all tell different stories in a similar fashion the way he tells his stories, which I was talking, they're usually like small stories within stories for a lot of the movies, not necessarily all of them, but I enjoy watching his movies. So will I go see that one in the theater? I will, more than likely, at my favorite $4 or $6 show. And
right.
You gonna cheat the man out of his money? Come on now.
I mean, cheat him out of money. I ain't cheating him out of shit. They're going to give me a $6 ticket. I'm going to take it, man. Come on.
King Takeem also brings up another point. This is Luke Perry's last film.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Can't forget that. So after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the very next weekend is Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Now, obviously, the Fast and the Furious movies, I think the past two have made $1 billion each. The Rock, as charismatic as he is, paired with Jason Statham and Idris Elba as Black Superman. I don't know, man. A billion is not out of the question for this film, based on Rock and Idris alone. It's not out of the question.
Oh, the ladies are gonna go see it because like, oh my gosh, The Rock, and he just. And I know some ladies out there that are Jason Statham, like, oh my gosh, Jason Statham might cheat on my wife.
I don't really think a lot of people are saying that about
I
Jason
know
Statham.
One of them. She's definitely not watching this and would never ever see it. But I know for a fact, because we had conversations, that she would. That's like one of her fucking hall passes of Jason Statham.
Double Girl's got a hall pass for.
It's not a double girl at all. Don't get the fuck out of here. I'm not talking about her.
Okay, all right. So I'm sorry. Okay.
I mean, I will go out on a limb and say that Jason Statham does have a following of the female audience to some degree. So
yeah,
we're not going to leave that out. But definitely, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Elba does have the following that is quite deep and is very well known. And that's definitely going to be driving up the ticket sales for this one. So it's...
Yeah, you still there?
So wait.
Tell me. Yeah, you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, so you telling me, like, if you weren't a fan of movies, which I know you are, and I'm not really too sure on how it drives ladies to go see movies. Me, I don't go see a movie for an actor particularly. I go see it for what the movie looks like it's going to be, regardless of who's in it. But are you telling me that the ladies, do you think they're going to go see this movie because of The Rock and Idris Elba?
Maybe more for The Rock now that Idris Elba is off the market, but yeah, sure.
I ain't stopping nobody. Come on now.
The Rock is off the market too. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's not married.
Y'all be acting like y'all. Y'all be acting like y'all so respectful of these men's relationships. Whatever.
But I'm just saying. I'm sure people are going to go see it. That will be part of it, but I don't think it's going to be. I mean, like literally, Idris Elba just playing in the movie. You know, I'm more wanting to see the action versus just, you know, I'm going to see it for Idris Elba. They could have put someone else there. I just want to go see it because I like the action. So.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's going to be fun. Here's the crazy thing about the Fast movies. Fate of the Furious, which is the most recent movie, Fast 8, basically, made $1 billion foreign and 226 million domestic. So the foreign market is what's supporting that movie franchise.
The foreign market loves those movies. So it's
holy
just
crap.
Yeah, and the fact, I mean, they love those movies, and I think a lot of it is probably because they love The Rock. Because The Rock was like it was literally
Rock saved that franchise. He saved that franchise without question.
He definitely did. He did.
He saved that franchise without question.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw is going to be interesting because again, it's their chemistry and Fate of the Furious was really good, and The Rock is always a fun person to watch, and Jason Statham has always been a badass. So, I mean, it's cool to see them bring those two together and then to have Idris Elba in the mix. It's like, okay, this is going to be really, really fun. So I think this movie is coming out when in
August 2nd.
July or July?
No, August 2nd. August 2nd.
So it's far enough away from everything, it might actually dominate for a little bit.
Well, it's the very next week after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And
I think it'll dominate. It'll dominate.
And then, and then the following week, the only real competition it's got is Dora and the Lost City of Gold, or maybe or maybe Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I don't know, but I don't see Dora really eating into Fast and the Furious's take. The following week after that, you got the Angry Birds movie 2, which that's
they made a one. They made a part 1.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Unfortunately,
why can't I come up with a simple idea that makes billions?
Wasn't that a Sony film? Wasn't it like Sony Animation?
Sony Animation. It might be here. Let me take a look. Angry Birds.
See, that a DreamWorks, but I can't really remember which one.
Is a Sony Pictures film. Yes, it is.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Lucky
so things kind of really fall off, and you could say that Fast and the Furious Hobbs and Shaw is the last big summer movie, but then you get to September 6th, which is Labor Day, which you could kind of consider the official end of the summer movie season, and that's it. Chapter 2 comes out then.
Okay, hold on, real quick to push back on what Hannah Omega saying. He's saying The Rock couldn't save GI Joe, but GI Joe Retaliation did bigger numbers than the first
Sure
GI
did.
Joe.
It sure did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And a lot of
sir.
people outside of the RZA being
The Blind Master.
the blind master. Oh my God, what was that?
was
Outside of
terrible.
RZA being the blind master, that movie was actually really damn good to me.
You know, I forgot all about that. Thanks for reminding me.
That's why I didn't even put him in that video I did. I was like, I can't, man.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
I don't know. Like the thing is, I guess with the GI Joe films in general, like I'm just assuming that was probably just Paramount that just really just didn't know what else to do with it after the fact, and
Paramount had some money laying around. It was like, we got to do something.
yeah, I think they was like, okay, we doing this movie, but we need something to drive up sales. What do we do? Put The Rock in it. Okay, that'll work. So I guess that was kind of like they just because I low key thought that they were supposed to be trying to do another one after that, but just whatever the fact.
I kind of thought they would because Rock had kind of saved it, but they were like, no.
Yeah, I think that was probably like an executive decision more than likely. Because, like, Rock is up to do anything. So it's just.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, he's trying to say Terry Crews would have been better. I don't think so.
What? No.
Has it been Roadblock?
No.
Probably.
It's Roadblock? Hell no.
Yeah. No, I think he would have.
No.
I think he would have for two reasons.
See, the thing is, Terry Crews is just a better comedic actor.
Exactly. And
So
he's
basically,
actor,
you wanted the Roadblock that was basically
The
doing rhymes and
Roadblock.
the rhyming Roadblock. I knew that's what he was
Yeah.
gonna say.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like I could see it, but like the thing is that like even as much as people do love Terry Crews, he's not a person that can carry a movie like that. Like he's not going to be like the one to draw folks in. Like if it's a smaller screen stuff, whatever, like people love Terry Crews all day.
Right.
What I was gonna say is if he was not the same as The Rock, say they didn't kill off Duke.
They didn't kill off Duke and like
And he was like Roadblock. How
Speaking of killing off Duke, thank God the Gambit movie has finally been shelved by Disney. Thank God.
Oh, lots of ladies are sad about that one, but
No, man, please. I think they'll be fine. They could pop in Magic Mike and Magic Mike 2 and be just fine.
Right.
They're probably gonna redo it to make it done actually right. Gambit.
Hold on,
but I'm saying everybody loves Gambit. I don't know why they would cut.
Everybody loves Gambit. What? Everybody loved Gambit back in the 90s. Everybody loved Gambit back in the 90s. That's it.
No, Gambit, nah. Ladies love Gambit. They like the idea of Gambit.
Ladies love Gambit, but Gambit stock hasn't been as high as it was in the late 90s when they did
exactly.
Jubilee. Him and Jubilee, those are the ones they need to make movies on.
Did you say Jubilee needs a movie?
Yes.
Wow.
Jubilation Lee. Let me get some of that jubilation.
No.
Well, here's the thing. Gambit stock fell only because they let
Wait,
Taylor
is there a way I can
Well,
like?
Yeah, that helps.
Can I remove people from the show like from this control? Like, can I do that from right here? There's no button here that lets me kick her out, man? Because like I can't kick her out. I wish I could. But how dare you say something like that? What? Jubilee needs a movie.
I have my own opinion, and it should be valued.
Why not make Jubilee?
Okay,
Like
look,
the
you can.
What story are they going to do for Jubilee to carry a movie?
Okay, look, you can have your own opinion, and you're more than welcome to it. But I do not value that opinion. I am sorry.
Why not? Why is Jubilee? I mean, okay, for example, and I can back this up with anything, with any character, with the proper tools, and so far Marvel has the proper tools. Why not make a friggin' Jubilee movie? Because that right there would satisfy a lot of friggin' audiences. It would probably do something very well in China because you got people who can relate in Asia and a lot of stuff. I mean, look at Crazy Rich Asians. It didn't do too well in Asia, from my understanding, because like I don't know. But in the United States, Crazy Rich Asians did great, and a lot of people were loving it, praising it because it was it had an Asian American lead. and it was a movie that was produced in America and all the other good stuff. And though you got Shang-Chi coming up, I think that's his name.
Yeah,
and why not? I mean, I don't see why not. It just not a lot of people really understand and know what's going on with her. She shoots the fireworks out of her hands. But it's not like it's impossible, or maybe even a TV show. I don't know what I'm talking about.
See,
you just rambled on there for quite a while. And I just let you go too, because it was like I was waiting for him to make sense about something. I think he was just caught up playing his game.
I'm just thinking. I think they can do whatever the heck they want nowadays.
Now, side note for Shang-Chi, like just side note, since Into the Badlands is ending sadly, I really hope that they like pick up like Daniel Wu for the character. But that's just me.
All right, here's how a Jubilee movie gets done. You do a Jubilee movie if you really, really want one. You have Jubilee be a foreign exchange student that ends up in Peter Parker's high school, and that's how you get the X-Men involved in the MCU.
That's actually a good idea.
I don't see that happening though, but yeah.
Because the entire Sentinels X-Men 90s cartoon started off with Jubilee.
Yep, that's true.
That would be interesting.
There's always ways to do it.
That would be interesting to
but Elle was saying as a solo film, like Jubilee on her own, and you
could do that. You could again, you can do that film. It can be done, and it's like I said, your post-credit scene is she transfers to Peter's high school. There's all sorts of different ways to do it because again, she's an introductory character. She represents, like you said, the Asian American crowd. She represents the young kid crowd, your whole Shazam audience that you guys seem to love so much. She represents a lot of different things. And then at the end of the day, it's a story that could be told through the lens of Marvel Studios. And it actually could be very interesting because you could very subtly get mutant powers and all that other sort of stuff just in there. You just tell it through a really, really interesting story about that character. Because again, you don't have to write her as an annoying teenager like she's always been. You can write her as a tormented girl that's bullied because she's different.
Emo Jubilee? Emo teenager Jubilee?
Not even so much emo. It's just not even emo. It's just you essentially write it in a very real world bullying social media life. And her powers manifest out of her anger. And you go into it. Then, like I said, that last after credit scene is she ends up, going to Peter's high school, and hey, damn it, mutants are in the MCU now.
It is a good way to do it.
Like I said, I should be.
You definitely should be at the writing table, like throwing these ideas out.
It's just my mind has always worked that way though. So I mean, it's just how I look at these things.
That's the creative writer part of you.
Okay, so It Chapter 2 is going to be the official end of the summer movie. So, what do we think that movie is going to do? You think it's going to be hit, miss? I know a lot of people really liked It Chapter 1, the remake. They felt like it was a lot better than even the TV movie
one.
TV one.
Way better.
So, what do we think the It Chapter 2 is going to do? Think you're going to like it?
I don't know. I haven't even watched the first one yet. I haven't watched it yet.
I watched it and I liked it. But it's just, I guess I didn't have that freaking special to it. Clowns don't scare me. Most scary movies do nothing for me. But it was about the story and how the characters reacted to all that stuff. And that's kind of what I liked about it. So I'd have to see it because I'm not going to compare it to the original one.
I think I'm more concerned about the storyline that they would tell at this point.
For It Chapter 2?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, I mean, I guess I don't understand. I don't know what they would. I mean, are they still little kids? Are they?
No, they're adults.
They're adults. Okay,
yeah.
So like.
That's something I do remember from the TV one, that they're adults and they kind of like come back after their I don't know how many years, and it apparently comes back again, but I don't remember what else happened.
That TV movie, I remember that TV movie because that was a long time ago, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just, that, I don't know how I feel about that. I just don't know if that storyline is going to be a good one to hold up and make a difference, I guess.
Only time will tell. That's basically all I can say. Is just there are fans out there. I'm not gonna go see it in the theater just because it's a VOD movie for me, straight up. Wait for a 99-cent rental.
That's fair.
Do we lose?
Interesting.
Holy crap! What the fuck?
So, that's pretty much it for the summer movie season. Now, the only other movies of real interest that are coming out later this year, obviously, we got Star Wars Episode 9 in December. That's going to be a huge movie. But, you know, Frozen 2 comes out in November. Charlie's Angels remake comes out in November.
They're making another one?
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Dude, I heard nothing about that at all.
Yeah, they are. Charlie's Angels comes out in November. Terminator Dark Fate comes out in wait a minute, that can't be really
This year?
That's what it says.
Terminator Over the Hill edition.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Oh man, no.
Well,
let's
not forget the potential movie of the year 2019, Sonic the Hedgehog in November.
Right.
That movie's gonna be sweet.
That's movie of the year potential.
Yeah,
right
whatever, dude.
It's gonna
whatever.
be better than Mario.
Okay.
Hold on.
Right,
Hold on. This Charlie's Angels movie has 3 people listed as Bosley.
What?
It has Elizabeth Banks, Jaimin Hansu, and Patrick Stewart, all listed as Bosley.
Sure does.
What?
You're probably gonna have so many Bosleys like die.
Oh wow.
I don't even know what they're doing
Now
in that
Patrick
movie right now
Stewart
already.
as Bosley is cool. Even Jamin Hansu as Bosley is kind of cool.
Jaimin Hansu just getting that.
He just
bag
get around.
any way
That
he
brother
can
know
this
how to
year
get
right
paid.
now.
That
It's
brother
like,
know how to get paid, man.
I ain't even mad at that man one bit. That man is getting his bag. I don't care.
Man's like, give us free.
That man had his little goal in Aquaman, then Captain Marvel, then Shazam.
Oh, you know what?
Now.
Here's a couple of other movies, really good movies that are probably they're gonna come out. Like in October, you got The Joker on October 4th, and October 11th, you got kind of like a double header. Really, if you think about October, is actually surprisingly a pretty good month for movies. Like October 11th, and you've got Gemini Man, that Will Smith movie, which actually looks surprisingly good.
Okay.
And Zombieland Double Tap, the follow up to Zombieland.
Except for the fact that Gemini Man's trailer pretty much gave away everything in the trailer.
It sure did, didn't it? It sure did, did that.
Granted, the moment they were like, "This guy's chasing you, he knows all your moves," I'm like, "Oh, it's going to be a clone, or the clone is chasing." So I figured that out right away. But I'm like,
I better off not watching this trailer because I missed it.
Dude, again, here's the thing: you're going to see the trailer in one of these movies you go see, so you ain't probably going to get away from it.
You're right.
I just wish they would stop doing stuff like that. Like these trailers really need to be done in a way that it's like, look, man, just
what's the movie studio for that movie?
For
Gemini Man?
Gemini Man?
For Gemini Man.
I'm not
That
sure.
is that's a Paramount movie. Paramount,
Well,
the
I'm
Bomb
not
Factory.
surprised.
Paramount, the
Why
Bomb
am I not
Factory.
surprised?
Yeah. So after the week after Gemini Man and Zombieland, you got the 3D animated Addams Family movie, and Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which is a movie I know GQ's interested in.
Yeah, I like the first one. I don't care what nobody says. The first Maleficent was really interesting.
I need to see it. Never saw it.
I actually still have to watch the first one.
She's always been one of my favorite Disney villains. Like always. Like she was.
And look, Angelina played her brilliantly in the first movie. She really did.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, she looked great.
Hey.
She looked great.
Hey, all more reason I won't mind her coming over to the MCU side in the Eternals. Make it happen.
Hey, look, the Eternals is quietly shaping up to be kind of a stellar movie. So
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, we'll have to really see about that. The Jumanji sequel is supposed to come out in December as well this year. I don't know if that's really gonna hit.
They're doing I ain't
Oh, come
heard
on.
nothing about
Now,
it.
come on. You knew after that movie that was a foregone conclusion. You know they was gonna make another. After that movie came out.
I mean, but how? Like, I saw it. I'm just trying to remember how the last one ended, and I'm trying to figure out how. Like,
It just ended that they came back, and my man that was stuck in there for all those years showed up with his babies.
yeah, like he went back to his own time, and then that was it. And then
They broke the game. They broke the game at the very end.
Right.
What?
And I'm also under the how did that come? How are they coming back? They broke.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure. Like,
They're
how?
gonna find a way.
Like,
They're gonna find a way.
was it gonna be like a with like an updated console game with DLC? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Only thing they did to the game was they dropped a bowling ball on it. That was it. The game morphs and does whatever it needs to do to evolve. The game, only thing you have to do to bring the game back is make it an app. You bring the game. You bring the game for real.
It's true. No, it's true though.
I believe
Bring the
it.
game,
I
bring the game
believe
back
it.
as an app, and it's worldwide right away. So again, the game finds a way.
Is that a good premise for a movie, though?
Yes, dude. Did you see that movie?
How
Did you see
often
I
have you
did
seen-
see the movie. I actually liked that movie. I just, again, this is another movie that I feel like, how many times are you going to make this movie?
as many
As
times
many
as,
times
as
it
many
takes.
as are needed.
Right.
See,
As
but the
many as it
thing
takes.
See, but the thing is with that, if they're going that route, the thing is it's gonna start getting into like stay alive territory to me. And it's like, if you guys remember that movie, it was literally about a indie video game about like it was basically a horror game, and it was like people were dying in real life, and then it became a worldwide console game at the end of the movie.
But that movie was actually pretty awesome though. Like Stay Alive is actually a really cool movie. But here's the funny thing, and here's why Jumanji is going to come out with another movie. It had a production budget of 90 million. It made 962 million.
Yeah,
That's a major return on investment. They are not gonna not make a sequel.
Yeah, sequel's inevitable at that point.
Yeah, that's what 100% profit.
Yeah, but are they going to use the same people
return on
to do the
investment,
same
basically.
thing?
Jumanji, I am inevitable.
Are they going to use like the same people, like Kevin Hart?
So far, yeah. So far, listed. I mean, again, there's not a lot of info on it, but it's like Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Carrie Gillian. So,
And it's like the avatars are the same actors, but it could be different people playing those avatars.
Yeah, like they could use the same avatars, and they could act completely different. The Rock's character could be the girl this time, for all we know. You know, like Jack Black's character was the girl, or Jack Black's character could be the jock now. I mean, there's a lot of ways they can go about doing it. It's really great. I think it'd be fantastic. Honestly, I think it'd be really fantastic. But anyway, guys, you know, we've been talking for like 2.5 hours, man. Woo! 2.5 hours. That Avengers thing took up a lot of time, didn't it? Like we was talking Avengers for like
fun, dude. Like,
we were.
deserves it. Hold on,
literally like talking about like another 3.
Nico Shoemaker is saying that it made what it made because of the cast. It was nowhere near the original, but that's the point. The original Jumanji was actually trash. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah, I didn't really like the original. Robin Williams, notwithstanding. I mean, the movie really wasn't that great.
Looking back on it, I'm not gonna lie. The thing is, Robin Williams did make that movie for obvious reasons. Like a second runner-up for me was David Allen Greer, but if you look back, the movie doesn't really hold up very well. But I still watch the hell out of it every chance I get.
Yeah, you guys have fun with that one.
Yeah.
Jumanji is never. I still don't own Jumanji to this day. Out of all the movies I have the sequel, but not the original.
Right, and this is a man that goes bargain basement diving for like movies to add to his collection. That is not one of them. Yeah, that is not one of them.
It is what it is. I mean, what can you do?
We didn't talk Game of Thrones. We didn't talk.
I'm glad you guys need to shut up. Quit trying to spoil the Game of Thrones. God darn it.
Yeah, I ain't watching none of that neither. We ain't talk about it.
We'll talk about it when Miao gets back from her well-deserved vacation. We'll have a lot, because by then the show will nearly almost be done, and we'll have plenty to talk about. And hopefully Dido will catch up by then. But you know, if he doesn't,
we'll catch up after 6 weeks. When the 6th episode, I watch it.
Anyway,
Why do I want to wait till week to week, man? Do you know how that feels? You only eat once a week? God darn it. Sometimes I like going to a buffet.
Speaking of which, I have to remind myself to at least start watching Lucifer tonight.
Lucifer is back on Netflix. Yes,
it is on Netflix.
Yeah.
If you ain't started watching it, watch it.
Speaking of stuff that's back on Netflix, Baki season 2 is on Netflix.
I already finished it by accident.
I haven't finished it yet, but if you watch it for one scene and one scene alone, watch it when Baki's trying to hook up with his girlfriend and his pops just shows up. It is the most hilarious thing ever. It is awesome.
Boy.
Dino, did you just say I finished it by accident?
Yes, because I just kept watching it, and then I got to the last episode. It didn't feel like the last episode. And then it was
Finished
over.
it by
And I was like, wait a minute. That was not,
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Finished
it by accident. That's hilarious.
Would be the only person that can finish a book by accident. He'd be reading it through. Like,
It's like, oh shoot, this is the last page? I didn't know it was last page. What?
I kept feeling the book getting lighter all of a sudden. I was like, wait a minute.
that's what happens when you binge shit. You just keep on watching it, and it just... And that mad respect that friggin' Yujiro Hama gives to Muhammad Ali, I was like, wait a minute, that seems out of character, but damn right you do that.
Shit was great. Shit was absolutely great. Nico Shoemaker is a JoJo fan. I know you can get with that, Dadakuji.
Oh yeah, I'm currently watching the newest one, but my favorite is still Stardust Crusaders. They kind of nothing has come close to Stardust Crusaders yet.
That's nostalgia talking. That's a hell of a drug.
No, dude, it's not. I rewatched it, the new Stardust Crusaders. Even though I like the poker scene from the '90s version more than the poker scene from this one, it's just it is just like the way the characters are. The way Kujo, what's his name?
Taro?
Yeah, Taro Kujo. I like his character a lot more, and I'm pissed you don't really see him anymore.
So we'll have to talk anime sometime soon, because Nico Shoemaker obviously is a good fan because he's looking forward to My Hero Academia, but Attack on Titan is back, and actually it was a damn good episode, the first one that came out. So anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Hope you have a great week, rest of your week. We'll see you guys next week right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. For my boys GQ, Fallen Marvel, and the Great Dadakuji, and for my girl LGZ, I'm Kashiro. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Make sure everybody deuces to you. Have
peanut rolls.
Whatever it is.